in the NFL.
Does he deserve to be the number one pick? I would say, yeah, he does. Listen, if you look at his career, Incarnate Word, you know it, Incarnate Word, Washington State, Miami. Each place he stepped on the field, his team, he elevated his team. Each place he stepped on the field, he elevated that offense. Whether it was at Incarnate Word, whether it was at Washington State for 2 years or Miami 1 year. He elevated that program. So to me, does he deserve the number one pick? Yes, he does. I don't see a reason why he doesn't deserve it. Now, again,
other than he might not be good enough?
Is he possibly, did he have the hype of a Joe Burrow coming out or the Trevor Lawrence coming out or Andrew Luck coming out? No, he didn't. Did he have the hype of a Jaden Daniels coming out? I mean, possibly, yes, not all the way, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to come in this league and be a good quarterback.
We await Roger Goodell at the podium in Green Bay as he officially opens up the draft. When we have Goodell, we will take it out to you as they are in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Dang.
I gotta say,
Will they boo him?
I think that the draft in Green Bay kind of sucks. Like, Green Bay's fine, but there's not, like, it's
Yeah, well,
this is a stadium right in the middle there.
They have the entire
Here's Roger
population.
Goodell.
We have over 125,000 people here and still counting. Obviously, Green Bay may be small, but it's mighty. Thank you all for welcoming us here tonight, and hope you have a great few days.
The fans of Green Bay showing their love to the commissioner.
Over the next 3 days, we will welcome in the next generation of stars into the NFL and bring hope to every NFL team. And we may have a few surprises for you tonight. But first, let's hear from some of your Packer greats. Please welcome Clay Matthews, Jordy Nelson, Mason Crosby, Amon Green, James Jones, and Packer superfan Lil Wayne.
I'm going to go off script here real quick, Roger, but I just got off the phone with the President, Donald Trump. He asked me to pass a message along to all 32 NFL franchises. So let me tell you what it reads here, all right? It says, my fellow Americans, the Bears still suck! Let's go! Go Pack!
The fans apparently not the only ones off to an early start here.
Somebody got wrecked.
We passed that tavern.
It is setting a tone, I believe they call this. And not surprisingly, Commissioner Goodell has quickly grabbed control of the microphone.
Green Bay, it's time to get the show started. Are you ready? The 2025 NFL Draft is now officially open. The Tennessee Titans are on the clock.
Okay, the Tennessee Titans are officially on the clock. Again, we know it's going to be Cam Ward. I really want to know what the trade offers specifically from the Giants to go from 3 to 1. I keep hearing the Giants made an offer. The Giants made an offer. I'd like to know what the quality of those offers were. If it comes out what those offers were, Chris Sanders, what would disappoint you if the Titans turned down an offer? How good of an offer would it have to be for you to be disappointed by them?
I
turning
mean, if they got a couple of good players, but also got some more draft picks in the first round. I mean, if they turn that down, yes, you may get one quality good player, but if you got a couple of first rounders and a third rounder, that will basically disappoint me.
So if they got offered next year's first rounder, and turned it down, how would you feel about it?
If it's just
Like,
one first rounder?
Yeah. So this year's first rounder,
Yes.
next year's first rounder, and a third.
That's a tough question. I mean, that's tough because even I would be upset if they did turn it down. And the reason why I say that, yes, you may get a good quarterback, but you still have a lot of holes to fill on this roster. So, yes, I will be upset. Yes, I'll be like, what the heck is going on? I know everybody wants Cam and this and that, but when you get an offer, if they give you this first round, the next round, and the third for next year, I will be a little disappointed.
Trevor?
I'd be disappointed, too, if it ended up being a haul like that. And part of the reason is that when you look at the two Super Bowl teams, for example, Kansas City had the better quarterback than Philadelphia, but Philadelphia won. And the reason they won was that even though Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia had a much better offensive line, defensive line, wide receiver core. They built a better team around the lesser quarterback, second-round choice Jalen Hurts, than Kansas City did around the first-round quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. So I don't know that you reach for a quarterback when you've got a chance to build your team like the current Super Bowl champion did.
Adam Schefter apparently said, and I didn't hear it because I'm on with you guys, that they offered this year's first plus next year's first plus additional picks this year.
Oh, my.
Okay, then if Cam Ward doesn't pan out, everybody needs to be looking for a new team.
Wow,
Giants,
that's huge.
That's where that stands.
That is huge.
I mean, if that's what they offered, it's I don't know if it's a leak or whatnot, but if that's what they offered, then you must believe in Cam Ward that much that you looked at next year's proper quarterbacks, even the ones that can potentially come out.
Yep.
You're looking at them and you're saying, no, we need to get our quarterback while we can. We believe he's the best quarterback and the best player in this draft, so we're going to take him.
And if they believe that, great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but they may believe that, and they may be right. But the thing is, historically, first-round quarterbacks are a 50-50 coin flip as to whether or not they play well enough that you offer them a second contract on the team that drafted them. And so, it's a coin flip. So everybody that drafts a quarterback in the first round, especially with the first pick, are certain this is the guy. And half of them are right.
So I have a theory, and I hate this theory, but I have a theory. It's funny because everybody's wanting a draft night meltdown. The fact that the Giants offered 2 1s and additional picks, you're getting me pretty close to the meltdown.
Allegedly.
You're getting me pretty close to the meltdown. Here's my theory. I believe that Amy Adams Strunk did not want to pay Sam Darnold. He was the only guy that was really out there. She did not want to pay him the $45 million, $40 million a year that would have cost to get him, and pay the $30 million that you would have given the number 3 pick. So if they paid Darnold $40 million and they then draft Abdul Carter at 3, they're looking at a total of $70 million in cash that they would have spent on those 2 players. By taking Cam Ward at 1, they're only spending $30 million, and then they can go sign Draymond Jones or whatever to play edge rusher. That's my theory, is that the Titans just don't want to spend the cash. That's the only thing I can come up with, because, I mean, when I hear Bill Polian say this guy as a prospect is not Peyton Manning, he's not even Jared Goff, I'm like, well, then why the hell are you taking him number 1 if you're getting offered the Giants first this year and first day? That's going to be number 1 overall next year.
And the reason why that's disappointing, if that's actually true, because I'm not trying to steal Derek's thunder, but he always talks about building up this roster. You have a chance to get some impact players to build up this roster. I understand that Cam Ward is a good quarterback and he's got a great skill set, but he better be a Hall of Famer. He better be a Pro Bowl, and the pick is in.
Titans pick is in. We know it's going to be Cam Ward. Would any of you, again, let's just say with say with the Titans, any of you own the Titans? Number 1 overall. Or excuse me, number 3 overall. number 1 overall, 4. Number 3 overall. Next year's one for the Giants. Let's say 30 or let's say 65 in the 3rd round and a 4th rounder this year. Yes or no?
Yes, in a heartbeat.
Yep.
It's hard to pass that up. It is. But again, if I believe he's that guy,
Do you believe he's that guy?
I believe he's that guy. I've said it from day one. Once I watched the film, I said he to me convinced me he's not. You got to give me more to tell me why he's not. I believe he is. Now, if you convince me that he's not, then we can go. But from what I've seen, yes, he has some learning to do. Every quarterback has that.
Here's Goodell.
An overflow draft crowd is now inside of Lambeau Field. We told you that earlier in the week there were predictions of 250,000 on night 1.
Take the over.
Yeah, there's 125 already officially, and now they're pushing them inside of Lambeau Field. It is an incredible atmosphere in this very small town in northern Wisconsin. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the 2025 NFL Draft.
Are you kidding me?
What?
10 seconds.
Come on.
Get him up there. We don't need 10 seconds at ESPN.
Come on,
what are we doing? Go.
They got him.
Well, Goodell just announced the
Here's
pick was
the
Cam Ward.
In the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Cameron Ward, quarterback, Miami.
Jordan.
So that's the done deal. Cam Ward to the Titans. Again, I can't get over this. I can't get over the fact that they turned down the Giants. So think about this.
Yep.
What would you rather have? Sam Darnold, Ashton Genty with the 3rd overall pick. I'm not taking Abdul Carter because the foot bothers me. But
I'm scared of the foot as well.
so let's just say Genty because that's the safest, sure thing, right? Sam Darnold, Genty, 34, next year's first for the Giants, and 99. And you'd rather have Cam Ward than that package I just laid out for you.
I would take that package.
Listen, again, you're asking me. And if I am the GM and I've seen what I've seen, I believe in this guy. I'm taking him. If I believe that he's the guy, I'm taking him. Because if you don't take him and he turns out to be the guy, everybody's going to look at you like, seriously. But again, I believe he's the guy. So I am, as hard as it may be, one, I'm not going to get Sam Darnold. I don't want to pay him the money. And I don't think, frankly, he can sustain what he did last year or come close to it because our personnel is not like his personnel in Minnesota. So it would have been totally different. But I wouldn't have gave him close to $50 million either. I get what you guys are saying. Bergonzi said it. We want to have so many picks within the first 100. We want to draft, develop, and retain. I understand that, all of that. But if you feel this quarterback is that guy, then you draft him.
So many more throws at the dartboard, though, if they take the Giants deal.
But how can I say this?
I mean, all these gurus.
I get it.
I'm not talking about
understand.
Mel Kiper, but even he's saying they overdrafted Ward. By the way, there's been a trade. Jacksonville's traded up to number 2.
Hunter.
But yes,
It started early.
It's for Hunter, for sure.
Yes.
So, but again, I go back to like 3 years from now, if you had to put your life on it, 3 years from now, who's the better quarterback, Sam Darnold or Cam Ward? Trevor.
3 years from now, I think Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward's got more arm talent. I think he's got more upside. The thing about it is that Sam Darnold's the kind of quarterback that will take a team as far as the team's good enough to go, but he won't elevate that team. Kirk Cousins is a guy like that. Most NFL starters are guys like that. Then you have the top tier of quarterbacks, top 5-6 guys that are good enough to elevate the team beyond what the team is good enough to do without that quarterback. And again, we saw that in the Super Bowl. We saw Patrick Mahomes who's good enough to elevate a team, but the team around him wasn't close enough for him to elevate to win the Super Bowl this year. And the Super Bowl champs, Philadelphia Eagles, had a quarterback who was pretty good, but a team around them, including the best offensive line in in the NFL, and really the best combination, offensive and defensive lines in the NFL. And that was enough to have Jalen Hurts, the quarterback, play well enough to take the team as far as it could go, and the rest of the team was good enough to win the Super Bowl. So I think Darnold's a guy that could take a team as far as the team can go. Cam Ward, in turning down that haul that Adam Schefter says they turned down from the Giants for a trade, in turning that down, what they're saying is that they believe that Cam Ward is in that top tier of talents that can elevate this team beyond what the team could do without Cam Ward there. Because if you don't believe that, then Cam Ward is Sam Darnold, and you got to take that trade.
But nobody else seems to believe that. Like, again, I mean, Bill Polian says as a prospect, he's not Peyton Manning. He said he's not even Jared Goff.
Right.
Thomas Dimitrov said this team needs to trade back to 10 and get more draft capital. And I'm trying to think. Rick Spielman says Cam Ward's a better version of Tyrod Taylor.
But here's the thing, Jared.
If he's a better version of Tyrod Taylor, you just turned down.
I don't see that.
But
3 in next year's first.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Jared. I mean, I know when he came out, this year, everybody was kind of unsure. But I think that the turning table was when, before we go to Goodell, is when he did his individual workouts. And I think that's what the Tennessee Titans saw up person to where they drafted him.
By the way, Goodell's at the podium. The Jags have given their first rounder. There's other picks that are going, but again, it's really their first rounder next year that's going to Cleveland in exchange for the ability to draft Travis Hunter. Here's Roger Goodell.
Selection that we expect to be Travis Hunter, who, of course, is the two-way star from the University of Colorado. Started at Jackson State with Deion Sanders, was the number 1 recruit in the country and surprised everyone when he went to Jackson State. But Mike, he went and followed Deion to Colorado, and I had an NFC exec this week say, whatever he wants to do, whether it's wide receiver or corner, whatever it is, he can be a top 5 player at both positions.
That's exactly right. Now, ironically, he's going to play his pro football back in the state of Florida.
Like, why don't these people on TV ever say things like, yeah, the Titans are stupid for trading these picks?
I would play him on defense, guys. Have him settle in there. I think he has a chance to be the best corner in the league. Give him 15, 20 plays, third down, red
Connor,
zone,
I don't think Goodell
build from there. But the way he can.
So I do wonder why they don't ever say things like on TV sitting there saying, man, I'll tell you, the Titans are stupid. This was a stupid decision because, again, here's what I figured. In all seriousness, I figured the Titans talked to the Giants, and they said to the Giants before the draft, they said, hey, tell me what are you going to offer? They're like, hey, Cam Ward is not Caleb Williams, so we're not going to offer you a Caleb Williams package. We'll offer you $34 and $99. And they're like, oh, that's not going to. Next year's first.
And the Giants, I don't expect to be a whole lot better next year than they are this year.
It's good. You just turned down number 1 overall.
It ain't even the second, third pick. Jared
you turned it down next year. You turned down next year's number 1 overall pick. Here's Goodell at the podium.
As he makes his way to the podium.
While we are here tonight to celebrate the 32 young men entering the NFL, I'm honored to take a moment to recognize a player who's made a profound impact on and off the field. The Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award, presented by Nationwide, recognizes one player each year who best represents greatness and compassion both on and off the field and in the community. Tonight, we are proudly joined by the 2024 Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year, Eric Armstead.
Thank you.
First off, Duval. I want to say thank you to the commissioner. Thank you to the Payton family and the NFL and Nationwide. And also, too, tonight I want to encourage each player embarking on the NFL journey to identify a passion close to their heart and act upon it. Use your platform to make your community, the league, and this world a better place. As we remember Walter Payton, strive to leave a positive legacy of your own. Thank you. We have a trade. The Cleveland Browns have traded the second pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And with the second pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Travis Hunter, wide receiver, defensive back from Colorado.
Kills me. The Titans did the stupid thing.
Oh, here we go.
And they're like, I'm just going to say this. Cam Ward better end up being Mahomes. Like, that's now my expectation, is that he has to be Mahomes. And if he's not Mahomes, if he's not a league MVP in 4 years, everybody should be fired.
What if he leads the team to the playoffs?
Like Mariota did? Like Vince Young did?
He's a Pro Bowler.
Like Mariota and Vince Young?
He's one of the top quarterbacks in the National Football League. He's the top 12 quarterback, 10, 12 quarterback after 3 years. That's still not enough. He has to win.
I believe that's what Kyler Murray did. That's not good enough.
But he's not Kyler Murray.
So give me a quarterback in the quarterback standings where you would say, okay, this is where he goes
if he ends up being, if he has the numbers that Sam Darnold has,
the 4,300 yards,
and he did everything that Sam Darnold did.
Not good enough.
Why is it not good enough? Your team won. Your team was one of the best teams in the National Football League.
Because I could have had Sam Darnold.
No.
Because I could have had Sam Darnold
but
do the same thing.
No. But I'm giving him longer. Like Trevor said, I'm giving him longer.
But again, just to answer your question, if he's as good as Sam Darnold, then I could have had Sam Darnold plus the 3rd overall pick plus the Giants' first rounder next year.
Plus, you don't get to have that longevity that Cam Ward will give you. Plus, you don't know.
Sam Darnold is 27.
You don't know if Sam Darnold can duplicate the numbers he had in Minnesota. Plus, you don't have Jefferson and the other receivers and tight ends.
I can draft them with all the picks I just got.
Totally different.
Oh my goodness.
I mean,
I'm gonna say this: if he turns out he have a first year, because essentially that's Jaden Daniels. So if he have a Jaden Daniels, Sam Darnold year, it still would be a mistake by the Titans.
This year would be good enough. If he does what Jaden Daniels did last year,
yes,
that would be good enough this year.
If he consistently gives you either that or more, it was worth picking him number one.
Well, Jaden Daniels, it looks like, is going to graduate into the Mahomes.
But that's what I'm saying. If he looks,
yeah, he has to be in that.
But even if he doesn't graduate to the Mahomes, Hurts is not Mahomes.
Not good enough.
No, Hurts is not Mahomes. He won a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
oh my goodness, man.
He's not a force multiplier.
You because you heard what the picks was going to be. Now all of a sudden that changes the expectation of the quarterback. You should want the quarterback to be that way no matter what, but you didn't. Not until you heard the picks. I want him to be a franchise quarterback. And if he turns out to be an elite quarterback, that is great. But I know franchise quarterbacks. I've seen franchise quarterbacks. Franchise quarterbacks have won Super Bowls. I will take that. Jalen Hurts. Yep. I will take that.
I won't.
Not Sam Darnold.
I'll take that.
The kid at with the LA Rams now.
Goff.
No, not Goff. The LA Rams. Stafford. I would take Stafford. Stafford's not elite. Stafford's a franchise quarterback. He won a Super Bowl. I will take that.
To be worth what they passed on for Ward has to be in the Mahomes, Allen, Lamar Jackson, C.J. Stroud, Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow.
You talking about all these guys, and 90% of them, 95% hadn't won a Super Bowl.
Won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but just because Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl, that doesn't mean he's better than Sam.
You just said they got to win a Super Bowl. You
didn't
said
say that. I didn't say that.
I
just said Josh Allen. Josh Allen won a Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson won a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow won a Super Bowl.
You started off with Patrick. Well, he has to be Patrick Mahomes. Right. He has to win. But being Patrick Mahomes is what? Winning Super Bowls, winning MVPs.
But Mahomes is a force multiplier. So, like, if you put Mahomes on the Eagles, they would win every game by 200 points because of the players that are on his team.
Exactly. Okay.
Jalen Hurts is a passenger on a very great bus. Mahomes drives a team with no tackles and one tight end, and he can drive them all the way to the Super Bowl, him and Jones.
But did
That's what they need.
Did Jalen Hurts do what he needed to do to get his team to the Super Bowl and then win it? As a matter of fact, 3 years ago, he outplayed Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, so who do you think's better, Jalen Hurts or Mahomes?
That's not the question. No, that's not the question.
But you're trying to argue to me that he's better than Mahomes because he won a Super Bowl. He's not better than Mahomes.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I would like a Jalen Hurts too. If he turns out to be Jalen Hurts, that's a win.
I think
he won a Super Bowl.
You can win the Super Bowl with Dak Prescott quarterbacking that Eagles.
Well, I take him if he's Dak Prescott.
With Trevor Lawrence quarterbacking that Eagles.
If he wins a Super Bowl, I take it.
Again, they have a great team. They have two great tackles, two great receivers, a great tight end.
I don't care how you win a Super Bowl.
In the NFL,
you win a Super Bowl.
Trent Dilfer.
So you okay with Trent Dilfer?
Trent Dilfer, I mean,
but he won a Super Bowl.
So to me, I think Jalen Hurts,
that's an outlier.
I believe Jalen Hurts is Brad Johnson. Brad Johnson was a good quarterback. Brad Johnson was a good quarterback.
Okay, I think Jalen Hurts has more impact.
If Cam Ward becomes Brad Johnson, that's not good enough. Abdul Carter went to the Giants. We all knew that was good. If again, in my opinion, if Cam Ward becomes Brad Johnson, who did win a Super Bowl, that's not good enough. If he becomes Jalen Hurts, again, a guy who, if you take all the great players around Jalen away, that Jalen's going to win 9 games.
So what if he turns out to be Eli Manning? You know Eli Manning won just as many games as he lost, too.
Yeah, I think that, again, Eli's a Hall of Famer. So.
Come on.
Like, I think Eli's going to end up in the Hall of Fame.
Eli's not even a top 50 quarterback of all quarterbacks ever playing the game.
Because his
let me say top 40 quarterback.
But because his story is written, and he's going to end up in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, because he won 2 Super Bowls.
And he did it in New York. Because his story's written, I'll take the 2 Super Bowls and the way Eli played in those playoff runs where he was dynamite in their 2 playoff runs to the Super Bowl.
Their defense was dynamite.
It was, but so was Eli. I mean, Eli was throwing for like 300
Jalen Hurts was just as good in his playoff run to the Super Bowl.
Jalen Hurts turned around, hand the ball off.
Oh, my goodness.
D-Mace.
Yes.
Would you have a quarterback?
I want Trevor to talk.
Would you have a quarterback that just has good stats or win Super Bowls?
Let's just win Super Bowls.
So you rather have Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen?
Whoever won a Super Bowl, that's what I'll take.
So you'd rather have Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen?
Absolutely. I would rather take Jalen Hurts all day long.
Would you rather have Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen, Derek?
Jalen Hurts. Listen, I would rather have Josh Allen.
Thank you. Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen?
Josh Allen.
Thank you, Chris. You're crazy.
I would rather have Josh Allen.
Okay, let me ask you a question. How many Super Bowls has Josh Allen won?
No.
Thank you. How many has Hurts won?
1.
That's all I got to say.
2.
How many Super Bowls Trent Dilfer win?
1.
How many Super Bowls Josh Allen won?
0.
Who's better?
They gonna say who's better. They gonna say who won a Super Bowl, man.
No, they're not. Josh Allen is gonna go to the Hall of Fame, and Trent Dilfer is not.
Without a Super Bowl.
No.
Yes.
Without a Super Bowl.
Dan Marino didn't win a Super Bowl.
Without a Super Bowl.
Hey, if he becomes Dan Marino, that's good enough for me.
Who did?
If he becomes
how many
Marino.
Super Bowls did Dan Marino win?
0.
0.
But I'll take Marino. I'll take Marino. I'll take Kelly.
Mercy.
I'll take that. Again, that's what I want. That kind of quarterback. I want the elite, top of the league quarterback.
So at some point, we're going to describe the traits of Cam Ward that give him the potential to be that elite quarterback and the things he's got to fix that would otherwise hold him back.
You know what Floyd told me potential is French for?
French fries?
No, what potential is French for?
French
for.
Oh, my gosh.
Not good enough?
Not good enough. That's what potential.
No.
No.
By the way, if Vrabel I cannot believe the Titans.
I think you misquoted the great Floyd, late Floyd Reese.
How can I misquote that?
I don't know.
That's like a very direct
Oh
thing
my
to
God.
remember. My bigger issue here is apparently, according to one of the draft charts, the equivalent of what Jacksonville gave up in order to get the number 2 pick for Travis Hunter is the equivalent of the number 8 pick.
Wow.
So it would be like trading the Browns, the number 5 pick, and the number 8 pick in order to move all the way up to go get Travis Hunter. I can't believe the Titans. If the Giants offer, to me, the one next year was the thing that, like, hey, if the Giants don't offer the one next year, fine, I can accept it. They offered the one next year, and the Titans still said no.
Listen, I'm not saying that, you're wrong by saying, hey, listen, they should have took that deal. What I'm saying is,
would you have taken it?
But we answered this. I've answered this question already. I said, if I'm the Titans, I believe he's my quarterback. I'm taking him. I am taking him.
Would you have taken the trade or taken the quarterback?
I would have took the trade.
And the trade of the quarterback.
Based on what I think of Cam Ward, I'd have taken the trade. But in fairness, they think that Cam Ward is worth all those players combined that they would have gotten with the picks that they would have gotten in the trade.
And this time last year, we sat in this exact same spot, and they thought J.C. Latham was a left tackle. And
this is a different crew.
No, it's Brink
well,
was there.
Brink was the only one there. But everyone, I mean, hopefully Borgonzi and the crew, we can't blame Borgonzi for the mistakes of the past regime.
Every year on this night,
he didn't find a way to get himself all rolled up, all riled up in the
year on
press
this night, the freaking Titans.
He found a way.
If I was the Titans, I would have told Adam Schefter, like, hey, man, the Giants did not offer next year's one because Jared Stillman is never going to let us forget that. Every Giant loss the Giants better go to the freaking playoffs, and that pick better be like 28 because
you know who might be available next year at quarterback up high if he comes out?
Texas.
Arch Manning of Texas.
Trevor, how good are the quarterbacks next year? People say like Drew Aller and those guys. I think Drew Aller stinks.
Drew Aller has stunk, but he's gotten a lot better. But Arch Manning, Garrett Nussmeier of LSU,
I think he kind of stinks.
Lenora Sellers of South Carolina.
No.
I mean, there's some pretty good next year's quarterback class is going to be deeper than this one.
Every year. All Adam Schefter had to do is not report that. All he had to do is not say that the Giants offered their one next year and more picks. And Schefter already reported this week that they offered a third. So it definitely was a third. My question is, was 34 in there? Like, did they turn down 134 and next year's one? And if they did, Amy,
tell them how you feel.
If they did, then there's one of two reasons. Either they think Cam Ward is worth it, or they're trying to sell tickets and they're trying to have a big flash that they can promote in a marketing campaign.
Okay.
If they think he's worth it, okay. If they're trying to sell tickets to the new stadium, then they should drop football and the Titans should become a badminton league.
What?
I think they believe that Cam Ward is the guy. If they didn't, based on what has come out, the picks that the Giants were willing to give up. If it was indeed those picks, you just got to believe in their mind, everybody across the board, that Cam Ward is the guy. They believe he's the guy that can lead their franchise and hopefully win them a championship. I can't see any other reason why you wouldn't make that exchange or you wouldn't do that trade based upon what Adam Schefter has put out.
Yep.
And they saw – I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just going to say they saw something they like. I mean, when you get offered all those picks and, all those things that they want to offer you, they saw something that fits what they want. And at the end of the day, even though I would have went the other way, the Titans saw something they liked, so they went with it. So
I was thinking about this.
I'm sorry, Trevor.
Think about this 5-year run. 2021, the Titans take an injured guy in the first round. Again, not a guy that got injured and it was a bust. And a guy that we knew that day was injured with a serious back injury.
Caleb Farland.
The next year, the Titans trade A.J. Brown on draft night. Mm-hmm. The next year, they take a guard with the 11th overall pick. The next year, they take freaking a right tackle to play left tackle. And this year, they passed on taking the Giants' lunch money from them so that they could take a quarterback who isn't even, according to Gold Jacket, Bill Polian, not even Jared Goff.
Now, here's why they would do that with Cam Ward.
I saw him. We'll get to Vrabel in a second. Go, Trevor.
Here's why they would do that. Most quarterbacks at the high levels in college started out when they were in the 6th and 7th grade with their own personal quarterback coach and went to 7-on-7 camps and they learned footwork and defenses and all the rest of it from the age of a schoolboy. Cam Ward did not do that. Cam Ward in high school ran a wing T offense, meaning a running offense, and he never really threw the ball in high school. That's why he wasn't recruited. So he goes to Incarnate Word of the FCS, and he lights it up. Then he transfers to Washington State, and he lights it up. Then the transfers to Miami and lights it up even more. And so he doesn't have the years of practice of the craft of footwork, the craft of your shoulders and your arm angle and all that. What he's got is natural ability. He's got traits. Those traits include incredible arm talent from a standpoint of being able to flick the ball with a lightning quick release and throw it accurately to all three levels of the field. What he doesn't have is he hasn't shown that his best football is when he plays within the system. He can play within the system, but at Miami this last year, he played outside the system a lot, where he would play hero ball all the time, and he'd hold the ball too long, and he'd throw the ball across the field when he shouldn't, and just do all kinds. He had sloppy footwork, all those kinds of things. But those are the kinds of things that you can coach. Quick release, the ability to throw from different arm angles, calmness under pressure. Those are the kinds of things that you can't teach. Now, when you're taking a quarterback at number one, you want to make sure he has a bunch of traits that you can't teach. And then if you ascertain that you can teach him the rest of the technique and stuff, then by all means take him number one. That's the problem with Shedeur Sanders, quarterback of Colorado. He doesn't have any particular trait that you can put your finger on. He's calm, that's good. He's good under pressure. But in terms of the techniques of your footwork and things like that, he has a lot to be desired. And from a standpoint of arm talent, speed, size, there's no trait that you would put your finger on like you could put your finger on a bunch of them with Cam Ward.
And that's what they saw. You know what I'm saying? And that was good for what they wanted to do. So even though, again, that they got offered all those things, they saw something that they liked. They saw
crazy,
something that they wanted.
You know who else has those, has first-round traits? That Sam Darnold.
Oh, yeah. No, he was great coming out.
I mean, Sam Darnold was a much stronger prospect coming out than Cam Ward.
But he came out early. He should have gone back to USC. He was very young.
He should have not gone to the Jets.
He goes to the Jets. Mm-hmm. And where did he end up next? Carolina.
What do you think is going to happen when you go to a stupid organization like the Titans? Again, the 5-year run. Okay, the Browns are on the clock. The pick is in. We will get to Goodell when he gets up there. The Patriots have taken Will Campbell, the short arm tackle out of LSU. How can we just sit by and let Mike Vrabel, after he made us watch those crap bums, Andre Dillard and Jalen Duncan, play left tackle, and every time we ask about, what about playing Skoronski? Oh, no, can't play Skoronski there. Will Campbell has 32 5/8 inch arms. Skoronski has 32 1/4 inch arms. 33 is apparently the line of demarcation. Trevor, how long are your arms?
At least 37.
Seriously?
No, I have no idea. But here's the thing about that. 64 starting tackles in the NFL, 32 on the right, 32 on the left. All but 4 have arms that are longer than 33 inches, 33 or longer. And so 4 guys have arms shorter than 33 inches starting at tackle in the NFL. But that is it's an anomaly. The traits that have the most success at tackle in the NFL include arms that are at least 33 inches long.
So would you, so again, we had to live through Skoronski at guard. We were not allowed to watch him play tackle because Vrabel knew. So I'm guessing he's going to play this guy at tackle, which is bullcrap, given the fact that he was so smart with us that he couldn't play tackle. But Would you use the 4th pick on a guy with 32-inch arms as opposed to 33-inch arms?
Not the fourth pick, because I wouldn't take a guard with the 4th pick in the draft. The thing is, though, this is why we talked about the edge rusher out of Boston College. He's only 6 feet 2 inches tall, but he's got 34-inch arms, really long arms. So he goes against a guy with 32-inch arms, and he's able to get into the body of the left tackle.
The Cleveland Browns select Mason Graham, defensive tackle, Michigan.
I think he's going to be a bust.
No, he's going to be a stud.
I think he's undersized.
Especially with Myles Garrett out on the edge. He's going to push the pile inside.
Here are the players I think are going to be busts.
Okay.
Abdul Carter.
Wow.
Mason Graham.
Wow.
Will Campbell.
Okay.
Shamar Stewart.
That's a good pick by you, but go ahead.
Teteroa McMillan.
Yes, that's a good pick.
I think he'll be a bust. Will Johnson.
Okay.
Just 2 injured. And let me see if there's anybody else I hate on here. Shador Sanders.
Oh my God.
The question is, how much do you enjoy hating the ones
He
that
hates
you hate?
everybody.
Exactly.
Oh, I hope Vrabel freaking sticks this kid at guard, and next year he puts some crap bum like Andre Dillard back at left tackle,
Hey,
and
D-Mac, help me,
then
man.
they keep going around him and around him and
I don't
around him and around him
understand.
and around him and around him, and Vrabel loses, and I get
Why do you want the demise? Why are you looking for the demise of people?
Because I have
They
been
always-
lectured by
Oh my
everybody about how great Mike Vrabel is when I watched him do stupid things as a coach. And I kept saying, like, what? Why will you not play the All-American left tackle at left tackle? Instead, you have to play the worst 2 left tackles in the NFL. And Vrabel's up there like, oh, I know because I'm the coach. And it's like, dude, just put the left tackle at left tackle, and he wouldn't do it. And now he's in the same situation, and he's going to play this guy at left tackle, and I feel wronged.
Why do you care? It's the New England Patriots.
Because
They're not our
It's the
team.
Patriots
because
way.
he acted like such a smartass when he was the coach here and put Dillard out there. Remember when
It may work.
remember-
Campbell just may be a better player.
remember when they played the Browns,
Uh-huh.
and it was right before the end of the half, and they're down by 10, and they're like at the 6-yard line, and they
That was his first year?
no, this was this year
Oh, you're talking about this year.
or the 23.
Okay.
And they left with no timeouts. They left Myles Garrett singled
Yeah.
up on Andre Dillard.
That was here, wasn't it?
No, that was there.
Okay.
And I could not believe
And he blew up the play?
he blew up the play. Tannehill got sacked, and they went to the locker room at halftime. No points on the board. Couldn't make it a 1-score game. And I get lectured every day by everybody about how stupid the Titans are and how smart Mike Vrabel is and how stupid the Titans are for getting rid of the great Mike Vrabel. And yet the great Mike Vrabel singled up Myles Garrett with the worst effing player in the NFL. And now he's taking a short arm guard again. Now he's going to play him at tackle because in New England, apparently there's going to be some different reason that he'll accept it and say, to watch Skoronski play guard and suck at it.
Listen, he's the New England Patriots problem. I hope they do suck, but not because I'm wishing them demise. I just don't want them, to compete with the Titans if they have a last, playoff spot.
Do you think Vrabel will fail in New England?
I don't think.
He's picking the players.
I think Vrabel's a good coach.
I do too.
really do. He hasn't shown himself to be a good personnel player, personnel evaluator. He hasn't proven himself to be that. If they're giving him full autonomy, that may be the wrong thing to do. I think if you just let him coach, have somebody else pick the players, like John Robinson was doing at first, some of his worked, some of them didn't. But they were a good team at one point because of John Robinson, with the help of John Robinson. I just don't think, based upon what we know, that Vrabel is the guy that you want picking the players. I think he's a hell of a coach. Now, when he gets the players, he'll coach them up. But as far as him picking the players, I'm not sure.
What do you think about my theory that he should have drafted the running back with the 4th pick and just treated Genty like Derrick Henry?
See, I don't know what New England needs.
Yep.
I don't. I know they need a wide receiver. I do know that. But I don't know outside of wide receiver. They have their quarterback. I don't know what else do they need.
Need some DL guys.
Ashton Genty has gone to the Raiders with the 6th overall pick.
That's a good pick for the Raiders.
Well,
He's a beast.
I don't like it.
Why?
How is their line?
But they
The
need
Raiders.
offensive line
Yeah.
help.
Okay.
And but the thing is, they might have taken an offensive lineman there and then gotten one of the next 5 or 6 running backs in the second round, and they wouldn't be as good as Genty, but they wouldn't be that far off because this is a very deep running back draft. Genty is graded significantly higher than the rest of them, but then when you look at the traits of these running backs,
Man,
their contact balance, their speed, their vision, things like that, he's a little bit better than most of the next 5 guys behind him, but not significantly better.
Do you think they just took the best player available? Trevor?
No, they need a running back. And the thing about Pete Carroll, the head coach of the Raiders, is that when he was in Seattle, he focused on the running game. And for like 6 years there, they were in the top 5 in the NFL in rushing. And then they build around the quarterback after they have established a dominant running game. And they don't have a RB1 with the Raiders right now. I mean, they acquired Raheem Mostert, who was at Miami, but he's not an RB1 right now. And so they were probably going to draft a running back high. And if you're going to take one at number 6, the only one that you would take is Genty. But at the same time, I think they'd have been better off getting the best offensive lineman available at 6. And then with their second-round pick, taking one of the other guys, Travion Henderson of Ohio State or somebody like that.
So I'm looking at Dane Brugler's top 100 prospects just because it's the one that I could print off on one sheet. The first, second, third, fourth, and 6th players are off the board. And the 13th player is off the board. Guess who drafted the 13th player?
Mike Vrabel. No, Titans.
The Titans.
Well, you know what? Mel Kiper has Shedeur Sanders, quarterback of Colorado, ranked ahead of Cam Ward.
Wow. What to say about that?
I think I would like to talk to Mel about that because I don't understand it. But certainly, Mel thinks that Shedeur is better than Cam.
Listen, they drafted a guy that they felt would help change their franchise, that would usher this team into an age of winning once again. And they understand that the quickest way is through a quarterback. It's like the quickest way, from point A to B is to go straight. That's it. Don't try to go around or take C to come to A. Go straight take C to go to B. Go straight to B. And they feel by drafting Cam Ward that this is the quickest way to success outside of, having an already made team for him. Even if they get all the draft picks for him, will they still be in a position?
Okay, it's Cam Ward or Brian Callahan?
Ward.
All right, yeah, we'll take Cam Ward's press conference. Here's Cam Ward live on Zoom.
Really myself. I've had a dream since I was a little kid. I had bigger aspirations than being just a draft pick, but I just think I just wanted more. I have a true love for the game of football, and I believe in God. And if you got hard work and God on your side, a lot of stuff can take care of itself.
Cam, at what point in this process, as the Titans were evaluating you and you were meeting with them, did you kind of feel like that you were going to be their guy?
I thought I was their guy all along. I let the tape do a lot of talking, but I think just once they got to finally, meet me face to face and watch film with me, it just helped my case. Coach Callahan, he's a great head coach. He's a great offensive mind. He's had a lot of success with previous quarterbacks. I'm hoping I can be, his next project.
Hey, Cam, both Brian Callahan and Mike Borgonzi spoke very highly of your leadership qualities. I wonder how you would describe your leadership yourself and maybe how that's changed over the years you were in college and going to the different schools along the way.
I think I don't know how to describe my leadership quality. I'm not a big rah-rah guy, but I think I hold people accountable at times when they need to be held accountable. At the end of the day, it's all about, are you getting better one day at a time? And it's about creating relationships, with your teammates. If you want to go and try to get on somebody and you're not doing the work, it's not going to happen overnight. And so I'm big on, actually knowing your guys in the locker room instead of just playing football with them. And I think that's helped me in my career.
Borgonzi and Callahan both talked a lot about your spatial awareness as one of the keys to what they think is going to make you a very good player. How much do you agree with that, and how do you feel like that kind of came to be in your game?
I agree with a lot. I think to be a good quarterback, no matter what level you play, you have to be able to see space and be on time. And I just think just every offense that I ran in college at all three of my stops has helped me to, get through progressions better, be a better quarterback. Every year I've gotten better in my career, and I plan on doing the same next year.
Cam, a lot of people expected this pick to be you, but can you just take us through the phone call of when you got that? Coach Callahan was saying it was actually really emotional because when you work your whole life to be able to pick up that phone and to pick it up first in the NFL draft, can you just take us through that phone call and what it was like?
It was special. It was real special to me. I think it was more special to my parents just because of what they put in financially and time wise to get me to everywhere I need to be. But it's a moment you don't take for granted, and I lived in it, and I'm excited that I was able to end up in a good franchise like Tennessee.
Hey Cam, how would you describe your game and just kind of what expectations do you have for yourself as a pro?
I'll describe my game as a playmaking pocket passer. I love getting, the whole receiving core in the running backs the ball. I just think what I expect out of my career is to be one of the best quarterbacks to ever put it on. That's the aspiration that I had on myself since I was a kid, and I think as long as I want to work hard, be a good teammate, and keep believing in God, it'll work out for me.
Cam, can you reflect on the decision last year to pull out of the draft, and then looking at how it has worked out for you, it definitely was worth the wait. But can you reflect on just that whole process for you internally?
It was a good process. So I did it on my timing. It's a lot of people out there say I shouldn't have did it. But at the end of the day, the only opinion to me that matters is myself. I write my own book, and I just think the stuff that I went through in the past just helped put me in this position. So I mean, I'm blessed. I can't complain. I get to live and walk another day, and I'm excited to be a Tennessee Titan.
Hi, Cam.
This conference saying pretty much nothing, but that's okay. We'll await Brian Callahan. We'll take a quick timeout, come back. Draft night in Nashville is presented by Hardee's, Shane Company, Twin Peaks, Parman Tractor and Equipment, Professional Home Improvements, and Hiller Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, and Electrical.
Shows how much belief they have in me.
The Panthers are on the clock at pick number 8. Roger Goodell is at the podium, and the pick is in, and holy crap. The Carolina Panthers just picked Teteroa McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona.
I'm going to.
Did not run at the combine, ran at best a 4.55
This is not about speed. You know what it's about?
If I'm taking a receiver at 8, he needs to be fast.
They got a 5'10", 5'11" quarterback that has a hard time seeing over the offensive line. His targets need to be at least 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2". That's what his receivers were when he was in Alabama. They had a great offensive line, but his receivers 6'1", 6'2". He need a big body receiver. He need a guy that he can see down the field. It's hard for him to see already behind that line of scrimmage. So getting him a big target, does he run fast? No. But he's a big body guy that can make those contested catches, because a lot of those catches that he's going to be throwing down the field are going to be contested catches.
And here's the kicker, though.
Well, hold on. We don't want to spend too much time talking about what the Panthers did. I do want to say that Brian Callahan met with the media, said September's a long way away as far as who the starting quarterback's going to be. Callahan asked about the trade possibilities with the Giants, said that they were not interested in letting a player as good as Cam Ward out of their grasp. And Mike Borgonzi said that Cam Ward was the number 1 player on their board.
Okay, then they did the right thing.
Yeah. Something.
Opinions will vary.
Absolutely.
And it's not like they didn't scout the guy.
Yeah.
It's not like they didn't meet with him and talk to everybody from his high school to all 3 colleges that he played for, and all the coaches and all the family members. So they come to believe that they made the right decision. Now, even if Cam Ward doesn't pan out, because they don't have that information now. All they have is the information they had up until the pick. But if that information told them that they legitimately believe he's the top player on their board, then good. They did the right thing.
And also, we got to understand that this is an important pick, for this franchise, because, if you look at some of the past ones they had, we talked about
the first overall pick at quarterback?
No, I'm just saying, the quarterbacks that the Tennessee Titans missed on, prior, like Jake Locke, I know he was 11th, he was the 8th pick. You got Marcus Mariota. Those are totally different. But the thing about it is I keep saying, even though we may disagree with it, and I disagree when they got all those picks they could have gotten, they still saw something that they love that they can build from this guy. And just like what Trevor was talking about, yes, they saw the intangibles. Yes, they saw these things, but it's something that this whole organization collectively saw in this kid, and that's why they didn't go with the trade.
We had a conversation on DVD the other day, and Adam asked the question, can the Titans get up there and say he wasn't the number 1 guy on our board? And I said, no, they can't say that. You draft a guy number 1. Why? Because you feel he's the best player in the draft.
Absolutely.
That's why you draft him number 1. You can get away with it outside of the number 1 pick, but when you're drafting number 1 overall, you got the first pick of everybody, and you chose this guy, which tells me they thought that he was the best player in the draft, the guy that would change their franchise.
Do you guys think there's any chance that the Titans are right and every single other person is wrong?
Yes. Of course.
They see something.
Everybody was wrong about Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
and see what happens.
But even the Ravens were wrong about Lamar
No, they
Jackson.
wasn't.
They drafted a tight end before they drafted Lamar Jackson.
Still in first round.
Yeah, they still drafted in first round. And
I know,
everybody
but
said,
again,
well, he shouldn't.
they didn't
No.
put all their eggs in the basket. I'll tell you right now, if the Giants had called them that day and said, hey, we'll give you our first rounder next year, they would have said, take
No,
Lamar.
They wanted to draft Lamar. Everybody in that building wanted Lamar.
So why did
Everybody
they
in that
draft
building.
Hayden Hurst before?
No. They wanted, at that spot, they wanted Lamar Jackson.
Right. At the end of the first round. But again, if the Giants had called and said, hey, we'll offer you our first rounder this year and our first rounder next year,
Well, the Giants had already picked.
the Ravens would have said, okay, here's Lamar.
But I'm telling you, if the Ravens thought the same thing, because they know, listen, if you believe that quarterback is the guy, whether it turns out to not be that, because more than likely, history says it'll be about 50. It's about 50-50. But if you believe that he's the guy, then take him. That's
I think
all that matters.
I think he's going to be like Kyler Murray, where like Kyler is one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the league. I don't think there's any questioning that. But Kyler is not good enough to win.
I think he's going to be better than Kyler Murray.
He freaking better be better than Kyler Murray. But Kyler Murray was the number one pick too.
Yeah, but Kyler Murray, they had
Stinks.
to put in his second contract that he was required
Too many
to
video
study
games.
Exactly.
plays at home on the iPad. I have never heard of that in my entire life. Normally, you just expect that.
Goodell's up.
They
Saints
put it in
here
the
at 9.
contract.
Do we think it's Sanders here at 9? What do we think?
No.
We'll see.
I said receiver.
Let's see. Goodell's at the podium. Ooh, the Saints go with Kelvin Banks Jr., the guard tackle.
Uh-oh.
I'm a little surprised by
Uh-oh.
that. 26th on the board, according to Dane Brugler. The tackle out of tackle. I mean, I guess he's going to play tackle. You're not taking a guard with the 9th overall pick. No on Shedeur Sanders there. That's one of the quarterback landing spots. So much for the Saints are hot and heavy on Jackson Dart. So much for that one. I don't think that's going to be an issue there. That puts the Chicago Bears on the clock. Let's see. Who should the Bears take here?
They need some O-line, edge, running backs.
The tight ends available.
Yep.
But they do have 2 tight ends, I think, on their team. Let's see. Who do I think they'll take? I don't know. It's a tough spot for the Bears.
Could they take a rush in linebacker?
I don't know. I'm so disappointed with the Titans turning down. If Schefter didn't say what they turned down, I don't think I'd be upset.
But again, if Cam Ward shows that he is closer to being a franchise quarterback than not, if he's showing you that he's being developed, then isn't that what you're asking for? Is that the Titans draft a quarterback that they can develop and become their franchise guy? Now, listen, an elite quarterback can be franchise, but a franchise quarterback is not necessarily an elite quarterback.
He's got to be an elite guy for me.
Okay,
He's got to be an elite guy. Because, again, Kyler Murray is the franchise quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. They pay him like a franchise quarterback. They treat him like a franchise quarterback.
But he doesn't have those traits that really probably has hampered him more than anything. His inability to want to study as much as he should. He should be
I'm
all
going to
about
say,
ball.
like, when it comes to physical traits, Kyler's physical traits, even with his height, and I never liked Kyler. I thought Kyler was going to be a bust. I'm surprised he's made it this far. Kyler, even with his height, his physical traits, I believe, outdo the physical traits of Ward.
The only physical trait that outdo it is his ability to run the football the way he does. Anything beside that, I'm taking Cam Ward.
He's a better athlete. He's got a better arm, and I think he might be more
doesn't have a
accurate.
better
arm.
Oh, Kyler's got a freaking
I'm not saying Kyler
We're talking about
doesn't.
accuracy.
I'm not saying that
Who's
Kyler
more
doesn't.
accurate, Kyler or Cam?
I think Cam.
Kyler, deep down the field, is phenomenally accurate. Cam Ward is also, though. He can be also. The thing about Cam Ward is he's a lot bigger than Kyler. And so that gives him a lot of advantages, and it takes away a lot of disadvantages of being able to see through and around and over the top of linemen that are trying to get in his vision.
Somebody just texted me, and obviously we're not listening to the we're not listening to the ESPN broadcast. Somebody said, "Does Mel Kiper get paid to bring up Shedeur Sanders again and again?" Honestly, yeah, because I think the story is how far is Shedeur going to fall tonight. And by the way, the Giants' offer for Cam Ward tells us just like we spent so much time talking about Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. It was never Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. It was Cam Ward.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though, Jared. If Adam Schefter is correct and the Giants offered a high 2 this year, they're 1 this year, and a number 1 next year to be able to draft Cam Ward, does that change your opinion of Cam Ward that a second team thought that highly of him?
No, because the general manager and coach there are like as hot on the hot seat as you can be, and like they can't wait till next year. Like the Giants, like they tried last year to move up for Drake May, and they got rebuffed when they offered a 1 next year. And so they stunk it up this year. Daniel Jones moves on. They signed Jones to the extension. The owner's already said his patience is running thin. They didn't have the opportunity to build for the future. The Titans had the opportunity to build for the future.
So you're saying that the Giants would be totally happy with dramatically overpaying now just so they can get a year before Cam Ward was exposed as being overrated.
The
rather than-
Giants general manager. I think that Cam Ward is a lottery ticket, and I think the Giants were hoping to hit because they're down on their luck.
Yeah. Well, most quarterbacks are lottery tickets. Patrick Mahomes, what number did he go last
10.
year? He went
What?
10,
Yep.
and the Chiefs moved up, right? And what was the consensus? What were people saying about the Chiefs moving up for Mahomes?
It was crazy.
They didn't think it was crazy. I mean, they definitely did not have him ranked at the 10th quarterback. But supposedly the Saints had the 11th pick in that draft, and Sean Payton was going to take it if they hadn't jumped him. Here's Goodell with the Bears pick at 10. Who do we think the Bears are going to take, by the way?
On ESPN Plus, you may be wondering why they're booing so loudly here now, and that is because the Chicago Bears have just been announced as on the clock, and in fact, their pick is already in. There is no rivalry in any American professional sport, and that includes all of them, quite like the Bears and the Packers, which goes back to the very beginning of the National Football League's history. And so these Packer fans will boo the Bears even more loudly than they boo the commissioner. Here comes Roger Goodell to announce Chicago's selection at 10.
Yesterday, the NFL family lost a true legend, Bears Hall of Famer Steve McMichael. My heart is with the McMichael family during this incredibly difficult time. Misty, please know that you are in our thoughts and prayers. Mongo's remarkable contributions to the game and the community will never be forgotten. His legacy will continue to inspire generations to come. 50 years ago, with the 4th pick in the 1975 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears selected one of Steve McMichael's teammates and closest friends, Walter Payton, running back, Jackson State. Walter would go on to rush for nearly 17,000 yards and 110 touchdowns over 13 seasons, all with the Chicago Bears. As you heard earlier, the NFL continues to honor Sweetness, not only for his performance and excellence on the field, but also his commitment to give back to his community with the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award. So with the 10th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Colston Loveland, tight end, Michigan.
Yeah, ahead of Tyler Warren.
That's fascinating.
When they've already got Cole Kmet. If I were the Titans, I might call the Bears and talk
Okay.
about a deal for Cole Kmet.
That's not a bad idea.
Because Chick stinks.
Well, Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State.
I thought he was the better tight end.
He's a better
Loveland?
receiving tight end, but he's
Yeah.
a much better blocking tight end. He's got a lot of Gronk in him. Warren does. Whereas Loveland, really good receiving tight end, doesn't block a lot.
Oh, wow. First tight end off the board.
But see, I was going to say this about Mahomes compared to Cam Ward. A lot of people compare those two. Obviously, Cam hasn't, won Super Bowls and been league MVP. So, but in terms of traits coming out of college, Patrick Mahomes and Cam Ward share a lot of those traits. Mahomes coming out of Texas Tech was known as a gunslinger who would go off schedule and play hero ball a lot and succeed a lot, fail sometimes too. And that's what part of the book on Cam Ward. Cam Ward is a guy that gets a lot of credit for being able to throw sidearm like a baseball player. Mahomes, same way coming out of Texas Tech. A lot of things that are similar in terms of their physical traits. The thing that has made Mahomes one of the greatest of all time is that he had the professional humility to subordinate some of the things that made him great in college, which is to say play hero ball and play baseball all the time, and learn how to play quarterback from a standpoint of drop, set, throw, hit your progressions, know your progressions. Then if things go bad, then you create on the move. And that will be up to Cam Ward to have the same professional humility to be able to subordinate part of what made him great in college, just like Mahomes did.
Yeah, you just got to find a way to, not make one of your strengths one of your weaknesses.
Right.
The ability to get outside, the ability to play off platform. I believe, Patrick is so good at it because even though it looks off platform to us, it's still within the framework of what they're doing. Nobody's running different offenses, or different routes once, he breaks the huddle. Once he breaks the pocket, everybody's still, they're still sticking to their principles in regards to their routes.
And he's not reckless.
Exactly, and he's not reckless unless he feels that I gotta make a play. Then he's going to try to thread a ball in there. That, like you said, that's what Cam Ward has to learn, to take one of his strengths and keep it a strength and not make it a weakness in the NFL, because that's what people are looking at. The ability for him to play off platform can also be a reason why he throws more interceptions his first year. Well, he has to learn how to use that to his advantage.
And there's two things that I like about Cam Ward. Number one is his capability, especially in this league where defenses are so fast and the edge pressures or guys are getting to the quarterback. His escapability makes him a pretty good player. And then we talk about extending the play. It's not that he just extends the play. He consistently keeps his eyes downfield and looking at receivers. So especially in this league where you got to extend the play and keep your eyes downfield as a quarterback, I think he does that pretty well. Yes, it may get you in trouble sometimes, but at the end of the day, I think he's going to make more plays than interceptions.
See, I would ask you guys as receivers, what would you want to see from a young quarterback on your team as he develops into, a quarterback in the NFL? But here he comes his first day. He's young. He doesn't know what he's doing. He thinks he knows what he's doing, but he really doesn't. But he does have traits. That's why he's there. What would you guys want to see from that quarterback in his development?
I've said it earlier. I want to see him, be able to. I don't want to see him make the same mistakes, because obviously the command of the huddle and all that stuff is going to come with time. He's going to try to figure his leadership ability, the way he's going to lead. He needs to figure that out first, because every leader doesn't lead the same way on each particular team. Steve McNair led different than probably Joe Flacco. Well, I know than Joe Flacco did. Different teams, different players. So when he gets in that locker room, first he has to learn how to lead a bunch of people that are frankly older than him. How do I lead these guys? And then from there, when I see him on the field as a quarterback, is he taking those things that we are teaching him in the classroom? How quickly is he applying that to the practice field? And then from there, how fast is he applying that to game type situations, whether it be preseason, these crossover practices? How is he processing the information we are giving him from the classroom to the field, and then to the field to game like type of situations? If he's progressing and developing in that way, then we're good. That's the one thing that Brian Callahan talked about Will Levis. He was good from the classroom to the practice field, but from the practice field for the game like situations or games, it was like he forgot everything or half of it. We need to see a quarterback. A Cam needs to be that quarterback that not only gets it in the classroom, not only gets it on the practice field, but also can take that and apply it into the game.
I think for me, I want him to communicate with me. I mean, when you have a receiver and a quarterback communicating with each other, I want exactly what he wants. I mean, it's kind of like understanding my body language, understanding when I get out of a cut, understanding when I run a certain route, how do you want it? And once we communicate with each other, we can be on the same page. That's a situation like with Peyton Manning and Harrison. They understand each other. They talk. They communicate. They understand each other's body. I'm not – listen, this guy. I didn't say this guy.
That was a trigger word.
Yeah, this guy. I'm saying what I want as a quarterback. Just like my first year in the league, when I had Chris Chandler and Steve McNair, if I ran a certain route, if I did a certain release, he would communicate and say, okay, I want you at this spot. This is where I need you to be. So now when I take an inside release or an outside release, he understood my body language on where he needed me to be. So if Cam Ward can do that with each of his receivers, also with his running backs, and also with his tight end, then I think he's going to be a great leader in this system.
I'm sorry, they got too much bull crap before each pick. Let's go. Hurry up. It just drives me nuts. Trevor, if you were made the head coach of the Titans tomorrow, Brian Callahan, gets caught with an OnlyFans model and he gets run out and Trevor Maddich gets made head coach. Is Cam Ward sitting the bench this upcoming season?
No, Cam Ward is competing. And if Cam Ward shows, not that he's better than everybody else, but that he can apply enough of the offense at a high speed to protect himself and to grow, then yes, I would say he would start. But even if the other quarterbacks are not very good, if Cam Ward can't apply enough of the offense to protect himself, then I don't start him until he's ready, because the last thing I want to do is put him in there, have him fail, and then bench him from the starting lineup, and then have to start all over again with the guy. I'd rather start with him going in off the bench and run some packages until he shows me that he can do things at game speed, and then give him a more heavy load.
Shout out to the 49ers. They just took Michael Williams, the edge rusher out of Georgia. They just took an injured player with the 11th overall pick. Now I know where Rand Carthon got it from. Dallas is on the clock at 12.
Running back.
What's
Ouch.
Jerry doing here?
What if he gets Shador, if he gets a running back?
He's not taking Shador. That would be
Jerry
something.
needs another wide receiver.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what, though? If there's any crazy ass that's crazy enough to do something stupid, it's Jerry.
I think it's going to be
Something crazy gonna happen.
Or
Golden.
Amy.
I think it'll be Golden out of Texas.
I love Golden.
They need the speed on their team. They need
I
another
love
guy
Golden.
that can take the top off. They need a guy opposite.
What about
of CeeDee
Warren?
Lamb.
The tight end.
You know what?
Yeah, I like that pick. I like
Listen,
that.
You're getting a
Pick his hand.
slightly lesser Gronk, but not a lot lesser.
Yeah.
Gronk's
he's
a
a
little
dog.
taller. Gronk's a little nastier, but Warren is up in that category.
That's a big compliment.
Yeah.
You're right. If you don't get a receiver, you take that big tight end, and now you help Dak Prescott out tremendously if you get him a big tight end.
You know who they're going to take? They're going to take Shamar Stewart, the kid out of A&M that did nothing. They're going to take him. It's just a gut feeling I have.
That's a running back.
Because Jerry can probably, he's at A&M, and Jerry probably just saw the 40 time or whatever and is like, I want it. But then again, Golden's from Texas.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a
And he ran fast too.
Yes.
Jerry is starting to kind of become a little bit of Al Davis. Although Jerry's so cheap now. People don't talk about this enough.
Who they get?
Because
I don't think Jerry's cheap. Jerry's
he's so cheap.
What Jerry does, he tries to squeeze out every
Why did they
inch
not
of
sign
juice.
Derrick Henry last year? Derrick Henry wanted to be a Cowboy. Don't tell me you believe the salary cap's real.
No.
Okay.
I mean, this ain't about that. You know what? I think it's, and this could be just me and my conspiracy. I think because everybody wanted Derrick Henry to be with the Cowboys.
Right.
Jerry wanted it to be his choice.
I'll show him.
Jerry wanted it to be his choice.
I don't
yes.
need them to tell me what to do.
Absolutely. He wanted
And I
it to
don't
be
need
his
to
choice.
spend any money.
He heard Stephen A.
won't.
Smith scream about him all day. Get Derrick Henry. He was like, nope.
I mean, it's feasible.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got.
See what Dallas does.
Cowboys on the clock, Goodell says. Let's see who they take.
Who?
Oh, my God, Jerry, you idiot. Oh, Tyler Booker out of Alabama. Jerry Jones is a moron.
Yes, keep letting that tight end fall. Keep on letting him fall.
I'll show him.
Fall.
I'll show him. I'm going to draft him. He's a guard with the 12th pick, and he ain't even that good. I'll show him. I want him.
He's actually a beast.
He's a guard.
He is a guard,
But he's got
a
some
beast.
nastiness about him.
Why don't you
was
like
the night-
Jared? How come you hate everybody that
He
weighs
hates
over
everybody.
200 pounds?
I like the tackles.
He don't like anybody.
Like, I thought Membu to the Jets was a good pick.
He's only 6'4".
I like.
Right tackle.
There you go. I'm fine with Membu. I ain't any problem with Membu.
Yeah, he's a dog.
I thought
man.
Banks was a little bit of an overdraft, but if I tweet this, Derek, will I get in trouble?
What?
Tweet what? Oh, you got to.
Can let me see.
I don't think you would get in trouble. No. It's kind of funny.
It's kind of funny, man. That's good though.
But I can tweet that, right? Like people aren't gonna get offended.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's gonna get offended by that. No, they
I just
shouldn't
wrote
anyway.
in all caps, take Pawpaw Jerry's keys away from him. Take the car away
No,
from
but you like
Grandpa.
him.
He can't drive anymore.
Trevor, you like him, don't you?
A guard
No,
with
he's
the
a beast.
12th pick.
Okay, well, Jared
I
doesn't
don't
like
listen
to
to
have
offensive lineman.
a guard. But here's the thing.
I get a
Of
guard in the third round.
of the top 10, 12 picks so far, 12 picks, there's 3 of them that I don't like. One of them is I don't like Ted McMillan, receiver to Carolina. I don't like that pick. I don't like Colston Loveland at 10 to the Bears over Tyler Warren of Penn State tight end. And maybe there's something about Warren that we don't know about, something that showed up in his health thing. And I'm not crazy about Ashton Jeanty, running back out of Boise State, to the Raiders at number 6. I think they could have gotten better value by getting an offensive lineman or a different position at number 6, and then getting another running back who would be very good with their second-round pick.
You know, I just think about the stupid things we talk about on the radio, like over the course of the draft process. Do you remember when Adam Schefter said that Deion Sanders talked to Jerry Jones about the Cowboys head coaching job? And we were having conversations about what if Jerry hires Deion and wants to trade to the Dak for the number 1 pick to draft Shador.
Oh my God.
Do you realize the stupid crap we talk about during the draft period? I mean, like, goodness gracious. Like, what? This reminds me during COVID when my best friend, like, I grew up first day of preschool, we were best friends, and he was the chief resident of the COVID ICU. So he'd be talking about like people on ventilators and grandparents dying and things like that.
That's nice.
And I'm like, yeah, I talk about sports on the radio and we don't have sports for 5 months, 6 months. I don't know what I do compared to, it's just a meaningless job. And I'm sitting here watching the Cowboys take a freaking guard while Shador Sanders has, you know, his logos plastered all over the wall in his house as he falls out of the first round. And we had conversations, wasted oxygen, brain power on what if Jerry hires Deion and trades for the number 1 pick for Shador?
I mean, listen, when everything first happens, you throw everything against the wall and see what sticks.
I'm very good at that.
Yeah, every, theory, conspiracy, whatever you want at the beginning, you throw
When
it
you
all
say
against the window.
do you mean like you, like me?
No, I'm not
or do you
saying
mean
you. I'm
like
just saying
you, like,
us.
because I definitely do.
Yeah, you're us. We when the process first starts, we're throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. And as the months go on, we find out what sticks and what stays to the wall. And every year, basically, there's nothing on the wall. That's what it is, nothing. We throw all this stuff at the wall, expecting it to stick. And at the end of the day, when draft time comes, nothing's on that wall. We just got too much time to talk about the draft.
No, it's the thing.
But it's fun.
It is.
It's fun.
I mean, yes. I mean, at the beginning, we thought that Shador Sanders was going to be the number 1 pick. I mean, that's what everybody was talking about at the beginning. No. I'm
But that when the process all started, it was Shador Sanders and Cam Ward. Shador would be the number 1 pick. Who's going to be the number 1 pick? Shador or Cam? Which one of these guys?
You know what my theory was?
What's that?
I kept saying this. My theory is that Shador is what I call a TV prospect, kind of like the Cowboys are a TV team. You know,
TV?
Yeah, TV.
Okay.
So, like, Floyd told me when he was on NFL Live. Trevor, you probably know something about this. When Floyd was on NFL, he went from being a GM to NFL Live. And he says when you're a GM, you don't spend, like, any extra time worrying about the Cowboys or the Giants because they're the Cowboys or the Eagles or the Giants or the Packers or whatever. He's like, you worry about all the other 31 teams the same. He's like, then I get to ESPN at NFL Live, and every day we'd sit down and be like, all right, what happened with the Cowboys today? It's like, all right, that's what we're going to talk about on ESPN today. So I've always said, like, the Cowboys are a TV team. They can be awful, and they're not flexing the Cowboys out of Sunday Night
They move
Football.
the needle. Cowboys move the needle.
Shador is a TV prospect, the way the Cowboys are a TV team.
Well, you know what? They just retired Shador's number at Colorado along with Travis Hunter.
Don't even get me started.
Well, I want you to get started, but here's the thing. There's a new conspiracy theory now that I'm just going to make up. And that is that Deion Sanders knew that Shador, while he did a lot of great things at Colorado, wasn't going to be a top draft choice. And so before that happened, he wanted to get that jersey retired before people realized that he wasn't really quite as good as he seems to want people to believe.
That's a heck of a theory.
It's a theory.
It's a theory. It's only a theory.
I like theories.
But you know what's funny is TD, he's on the show and I love what he said. He loves Sanders. So there's something that he has that he maybe he can play in this league. I'm not saying he's a first rounder, but TD says he loves what he brings to the table, not just what he does on TV, but he said his skill set is pretty good. And
TD thinks he's like CJ Stroud.
See what I'm saying? I'm not saying he's no, but TD has a lot of knowledge about football and about players. So when he says that Shedeur Sanders is pretty good, then you got to believe he's got a little something.
You know what, though? I liked Shedeur a lot at Colorado. He did a lot of things all by himself because his offensive line for 2 years was relatively worse than the Titans' offensive line from an NFL standpoint. His running backs were utterly putrid at protecting him. I mean, you could pressure Shedeur Sanders before he got to the top of his drop. You'd have two guys there with him at the top of his drop. So he had to spin out of there somehow and extend plays and make something happen anyway. He was positively heroic, taking sack after sack and elevated that program. So I like Shedeur. But now NFL, as a top 10 pick, that kind of a thing, forget it. As a bottom half of the first round, maybe. As a second rounder and below, I really like him. Because as long as he doesn't get all full of his extracurricular stuff, and as long as the reports that he thinks quite highly of himself, which are rumors that came out, in the days before the draft. What?
Miami took Kenneth Grant out of Michigan.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah.
With the 13th pick, though, you think he's that good?
He's pretty good. But now, who else are you going to take? Because
The
now
Titans
you're
had
beyond.
him. The Titans had him on a top 30 visit, thinking he might fall to 35.
Well, the thing is, though.
Oh God, the Colts are going to get the Warren kid.
Yes, they are.
Oh
yes,
God.
they are.
Oh God.
Yes, they are.
Wow.
Unless, like Trevor said, unless there's been something in the medicals we don't know about, it would be a great pick for the Colts.
Yeah, but who's going to throw to him?
Anthony Richardson can throw to a tight end. That's the
Daniel
problem. Is they
Jones.
didn't get him a tight end.
Anthony Richardson can't hit the side of a barn from the inside.
Even
Again,
Daniel
all you
Jones
got to
also.
do, like I watched Vince Young win 30 games doing this. All you have to do is use your athleticism and then let the tight end kind of flank out. Just boom, just drop it off to the tight end. And Warren could be that guy.
And that's how they're going to win games. Just
No.
that one thing.
Well, they've got Jonathan Taylor. And then Richardson can't throw the ball 60 yards down the field and hit a receiver. And that's good enough. Because if you drop your guys back to worried about Richardson throwing it down the field, he'll drop it off to the tight end. If you bring guys up to stop the tight end and the running back, he's going to throw it down the field.
And how'd that work out for him so far?
Well, he hasn't had a tight end. So now he's had Mo Alley Cox, who stinks. So now he's going to get Warren, who's a beast.
Yes, he is.
I'm not worried about Anthony Richardson at all. As I look at the quarterbacks in the division that the Titans have to worry about, C.J. Stroud's the guy you have to worry about. And the Trevor Lawrence with Jacksonville all of a sudden now has a potentially elite receiver in Travis Hunter. So we'll see what they do with him and how that works out. But now what the Titans have to hope for is that very quickly Cam Ward can develop to the point to where he can compete on an equal level with what C.J. Stroud's been doing with the Texans. Because truthfully, I think Ward has the ability to do better in his first 5 years than Trevor Lawrence did. And I don't think Anthony Richardson is going to make it in the NFL as a quarterback. I think that's part of the reason they drafted him is they looked around the division and they're saying, we're already 2 years behind in development of the quarterback of our division rival, Houston.
We're already 2 years behind in development because, one, he's 2 years younger than the other guy, and two, we ruined him. They did their best to ruin Richardson.
They still got time. They go out and they get
like
the tight
Rich. I
end.
mean, I've always liked
coming
Richardson.
out. Yeah.
I just think that they screwed him up. I thought that he should have sat right on the bench, and then when he got in there in his second year, they should have turned around and handed the ball to Jonathan Taylor every play.
Here we go.
And then let him go on his way.
Oh, they got him.
God.
The big fella out
He
of Penn
fits
State.
the mold.
Yes.
He fits
I
that
guarantee
stinking
you the
mold.
Colts are crapping their pants.
Oh,
they
my
could not
God.
believe that he got to them.
Yes.
Wow.
They can't believe it. They're probably sitting there. You know when they show the draft rooms and everyone's like hugging and high-fiving or whatever? In Indy, they're probably like, ah!
Wow.
Why does this never
he's a
happen to the
dude.
Titans
I
where,
think
like,
this is an
this
excellent
player
pick.
that,
I do
God,
too.
if he just falls to him. Now, I will say this. There was one player who the draft Nick said was going to be incredible,
Uh-huh.
and he never, and he fell to the Titans, and the Titans took him, and I was like, yes, and it was Derek Morgan, and I thought Derek Morgan.
Yeah, Derek Morgan didn't pan
He was
out
just
the way.
never, like, he was fine, but he was never, like, a good player.
Wasn't he hurt, too? Didn't he get hurt?
I don't
If
know.
I'm not, he just never reached that potential that they thought he would reach. Yes, he ended up being a good player, a solid player, but he never reached that potential.
What a terrible pick by Jerry Jones.
Are you still,
what was
are
he
you still on that?
thinking? Like,
Man, he was thinking he needed an offensive guard. That's what he was thinking.
Hey,
just awful.
But I thought this kid,
Just
Warren,
awful.
I thought he was one of the better players in this year's draft. I thought, no doubt, he was the best tight end in this year's draft. I watched him throughout the season. He's versatile. He can throw the football. He can line up in the backfield. He can do all those things that you would want a tight end to be able to do in this new NFL. You say he's a smaller version of Gronk. I think he's a better athlete than Gronk because of some of the other stuff he can do. But Gronk's going to be a Hall of Famer, so that's, it is what it is. But he has the ability.
Jerry had to take a guard, he had to
the
pass on
ability.
Gronk because he had to take a freaking guard.
But this kid has the ability to be one of the better tight ends in the National Football
No,
League.
he does now. I say smaller version. I mean,
Yes.
he's almost 6'6".
Yeah, exactly. But
Gronk's
he's
still
just-
taller than that,
yeah.
I think. But he's about
Tyler Warren
255.
doesn't look that big, though, on TV.
No, but see, he lines up at wide receiver in the slot, at H-back, inline tight end, running
Yes.
back, quarterback. You can put him anywhere. So if you're the Titans defense now, and you're already thinking, okay, now we got to cover this guy, who's going to cover him?
Nobody.
Yeah.
And his yards after the catch. I mean, when he gets the ball in his hands, I mean, he makes something happen.
Can
every single
L'Jarius
time.
Sneed cover him on one leg?
L'Jarius Sneed, no. On one leg. You mean him on one leg or
Oh,
L'Jarius
my
Sneed on
God.
one leg?
Well, L'Jarius Sneed has one leg, the
This
knee.
He has two, man. I mean,
This guy, he
he'll
gonna
be
be
all
all
right.
right. He all right.
I was going to say something so controversial,
Yes.
and I just
Do it.
filtered it
Do
out.
it.
No,
I'm
do
glad
it.
you did that.
Do
I'm
it.
glad you did that 3 seconds,
Do it.
man. 3 to 30 seconds.
no.
Think about
Here,
it.
I'll write it down for you.
3 to 30
Here's the thing,
seconds.
though. Jacksonville,
Yes.
the division teams, Jacksonville upgraded dramatically their playmaking ability with Travis Hunter. Now
Do
the
we know if
Colts,
they're going to put Hunter on offense or they're going to play him on defense?
they put him on defense?
I don't know. I'm wondering
They,
if
they
said-
should put him on offense, but either way, they've upgraded their athleticism, their playmaking ability. Colts at number 14 upgraded their playmaking ability dramatically with Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State. And both of those guys should contribute right away on day one. Cam Ward, because of the nature of the position, is going to have
No,
to
you
develop.
can't say that. I'm sorry, Trevor. This guy next to me. No, you can't say that on air.
Is
No.
it bad? Where?
Oh, okay. Jared's passing notes about what he wasn't going to say.
Yeah. What
So, Chris, why don't you say it?
No. No.
Come on, Chris.
No, I can't.
Come on, have
No.
some courage.
I was like, I'm going to say it. I was like, I better not say
Peer
that one.
pressure, no, you can't say
I was
that.
like, I better not. I probably
can't
wouldn't
say
have
that,
gotten in
yeah.
trouble, but it probably would have pissed some people off. So
Yeah,
I-
it would've made-
But
I would-
but looking at
Yeah.
and Trevor's right. Looking at what
Yeah.
these other teams, and we have yet to see what Houston is going to do with their pick. But you look at what these teams within, the Titans division are doing. Titans, you went out and got your quarterback, who you believe is your franchise quarterback. That is great. You see what Jacksonville did.
I don't think it's great.
If they believe if they believe he's the franchise quarterback, then it's great for them. They believe that, and hopefully he becomes that. I'm hoping he does. But then Jacksonville goes out and get, arguably the best player in the draft in Travis Hunter. Whether they put him at, wide receiver or defensive back, we will not know until they start camp. Maybe they say something tonight saying they're going to play him at receiver or they're going to play him at defensive back primarily. but then you see what the Indianapolis Colts go out and do. The Indianapolis Colts has gotten bigger as a team at the skill position. They already got a big wide receiver at what, 6'3", 6'2", 6'3". They go out and get a big tight end that's 6'5". They are getting bigger, they are getting more athletic, and they're getting faster on the offense. The Titans got to find a way now to neutralize what they're doing, neutralize what Jacksonville is doing. So that next pick, I want it to be a wide receiver, but the Titans may be looking at it a little bit different, now seeing what their counterparts are doing within their division.
And then just looking at Indy and Jacksonville, just like what you guys are talking about, these are not just players. I mean, these are impact players that are going to play right away. I mean, it's not about guessing if he's going to sit out.
I hate being a Titan.
Hold on, man.
No, you don't.
I hate it.
Why?
I hate it.
Why do you hate it?
Because
you, man.
every year on draft night, I sit here and I knew who they were going to take, and I knew I was going to hate it, but I was going to be okay with it. And then Adam Schefter had to get his freaking ugly sweater with his suit on TV today and had to say that they turned down a huge package from the Giants, which included their first next year.
Well, okay, so to me,
Shador's going to be the best available on Mel's list for a long, long time.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah, absolutely.
To
I
me,
reckon.
you fall in line with a lot of Titan fans and a lot of callers.
No, I don't. I'm the
Yes, you know.
opposite.
No. From this standpoint. You don't believe. You may like Cam Ward. You may not think he's worthy
I
of
think
the
he's a
number one pick.
first-round pick. I think he's got
But
talent.
you don't think the organization is going to do right by him.
Oh, I think they're going to totally screw him up.
Yes, and that's how
What
I
makes you think
believe.
that, though?
That's how I believe a lot of Titan fans feel. It's not that they don't like Cam Ward; they just don't like who he got drafted to. Meaning the guys that are running the show with the Titans.
If Shador doesn't go in the first round, does Dion hold a press conference tonight?
Is that him right there?
No, they just showed him. So Shador's logo is a money sign with a square.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, if he goes in the second round, I'm gonna say that squared is for the second round.
Oh my gosh.
Caroline said that she sat down with him for Yahoo at the Super Bowl, and he signed, like, they had a thing that all the players signed, like a truck for Toyota or whatever, and he signed it $, squiggly line, $, squiggly line, and she was like sitting there being like, really?
Hey, he got a trademark, man.
Like,
He had monetized it.
Squiggly line.
Really?
Monetize it. If you don't believe it, then who won't believe it?
Maybe
you don't
let's wait
believe
till
in
you get
yourself-
drafted before you do that.
If you don't believe in yourself, who gonna believe in you?
I will say this. Everything I've heard about Cam Ward, the person, sounds like the kind of person I want to be the quarterback of my team.
Yes, I agree with that.
That, like, whether it's his teammates, his coaches, like, if Cam Ward turns into Isaiah Wilson off the field, I will be shocked. I mean, it sounds like Cam Ward is one of those don't talk about it, be about it types, and that I do like.
Well, Jared, you just have to invite Cam to one of your parties, and if he says yes, you know he failed the test.
Jim don't have too many parties. Just invite him to one. That's
Not
all.
a parties
Hey,
that you
Joe, that's
throw.
pretty good.
But again, it falls back on you, along with a lot of Titans fans, don't believe that the organization, based on past history, and I get it, don't believe that they're going to do what's necessary to develop this quarterback. You don't believe in a head coach because he didn't develop Will Levis.
Well, it's not that I don't believe in the head coach. I like the head coach.
No, I didn't say you didn't like him.
But I was very disappointed, not just in the development of Levis, but I was just very disappointed with his head coaching the first year. I think he's a great man, but I was disappointed with his head coaching really from the offseason into the season. I'm not sure that I felt like at any point Brian Callahan was actually in control this year, and that is really disheartening for a head coach.
You know, I look at Brian Callahan, and I know many people.
Falcons are up at 15. What do we think? Shador Sanders?
No.
Oh, yeah, sure. Here's
They need a DB,
They
don't
did it last year.
Here's the thing, though. The Titans need to hope that all of a sudden there's a run on the next three quarterbacks.
Jalen Walker, the linebacker out of Georgia.
He's standing
I
home.
got one in my mock draft.
Yes, you got one. Yes, he's standing. He's standing in ATL.
Hey, D-Mix, let me ask you a question. And getting back on Cam Ward, do you think this organization can develop into a good receiver? I mean, a good quarterback? In your honest opinion, if you had to bet your last sandwich Do you think they can develop into?
I ain't giving away my sandwich, man. No. But for real, I believe Callahan can for this reason. They went out and got McCoy, who has been an offensive coordinator, who has been a quarterback's coach. So I think they're getting as many or as much information or as many teachers in that room as they possibly can. Not all to teach Cam Ward, but they all get together amongst themselves to figure out the best way to guide this young man and put things around him.
That's what I want to hear.
Plus, they brought the backup quarterback
Exactly.
from Cincinnati in to be the backup for Tennessee. So he understands the offense. He understands what's expected of him by Brian Callahan. That's important. Now, going forward here now, this first round, early second, fingers crossed on both sides that there's a run on the quarterbacks. Shadora's not gone yet. Tyler Shuck of Louisville has got tremendous traits. Jackson
He's
Dart,
a backup.
He's got great traits. He's got a big arm. He's a big guy.
I watch him every week. He's and I mean this with all due respect. He's going to be a good backup, but he's like Chad Henne or like one of those guys that's just, he's a backup for like 12 years. Billy Volek, he's a backup.
And then there's Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss. You've got to hope that there's a run on those guys before the Titans pick in the second round, so it'll push other players down. Because, Jared, you talked about, what happens now. How do the Titans cover Tyler Warren, the big tight end that the Colts just drafted? And there's a name that's expected to go late in the first round that you want to keep an eye on, and that's Nick Emanwari out of South Carolina. He's a safety, 6'3", 220 pounds. He ran a 4.38 40. He's got the length and the speed to match up with big tight ends like the Colts just drafted. Now, that doesn't mean that the Colts should draft the guy because of the position, etc. But if he does get pushed out of the first round, which is not likely, but let's watch for that. If he does, then he'll be one of the highest ranked players, graded players at the 35th pick available. And that would be an amazing point counterpoint if it turns out that way.
Speaking of the 35th pick,
first round.
When do we start to get excited? Like I'm looking at this and I see Matthew Golden and I see Emeka Ibuka and I see Donovan Ezeraku and I see some guys that hey, if the Titans take Ezeraku or Ibuka, Golden's not getting to 35. But if when can I get excited about maybe one of those guys getting to 35?
If the quarterbacks start to have a run, because that'll push down those other guys.
Or if those defensive ends, because they're plentiful, or if those defensive ends and tackles start to get drafted, then that can push those wide receivers and everybody else down the chart.
Cardinals are on the clock here at 16. I know almost nothing about their team. They have Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., Paris Johnson at tackle. Other than that, I don't think I could tell you anybody else in the Cardinals.
I couldn't tell you nothing about other than Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray. That's it. That's all I can tell you.
I couldn't think of anybody.
That's all I can tell you.
I mean, I don't know who they should pick.
They need some O-line guys. That's all I know.
Trying to think who's the best player on the board.
Best player available right now, I would say Will Johnson.
Well, he's hurt.
Yeah.
Jahade Barron.
Yeah,
Jahade Barron's a good cover guy.
He's got short arms, though.
Yeah,
that wouldn't stop Vrabel.
Short arms.
If Vrabel was coaching him.
That means Vrabel would move to left tackle.
No
What
left
about
guard.
James Pierce?
Okay, so right now
He's a 35 guy, like a guy that might be available at 35.
after 15 picks, only 2 edge rushers have gone.
That's what I'm saying. The
Michael Williams
run.
of Georgia and Abdul Carter of Penn State. And so there's some really interesting edge rushers being pushed down as well.
Mike Green
out of Marshall is one of those guys with traits. He's got some issues he'll need to solve, like his play strength and things like that. But he had a ton of sacks in college.
I can't believe the Colts got Tyler Warren.
Yeah.
He's a dog, man.
He is the 4th ranked player in this draft consensus among the scouting combines. And the Colts got him at 14.
That's crazy.
That's almost
That is
that's a
crazy.
steal.
It is.
Because he's a tight end, man. People keep seeing tight ends be matchup nightmares for their own team, and then when they have a chance to get
They
one
don't
of those,
draft them.
they don't do it. I mean, right now, Brock Bowers out of Georgia,
He's a
the Raiders
dog.
took him last year.
Yeah.
And he's going to be just hell on wheels for them.
Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle out of Ole Miss, goes at 16 to the Cardinals.
Yeah. That's a good pick.
Do you know who that guy reminds me of? Do you remember the Kandichi kid that
Ole
went
Miss,
to Ole Miss?
yeah.
Like Walter Nolan, I feel like he was like the best recruit ever. And then I don't know. Trevor, you would know better than me. How did he do in college?
He was a beast. He was largely unblockable. He's one of those guys that'll stuff the middle.
You think he can be like
and
Chris
control
Jones?
the middle. I think Chris Jones is probably more athletic, but you don't want him necessarily to be athletic. You want him to do what Tavondre Sweat of the Titans.
Well, this
You want
guy's
him to
about
do.
100 pounds less than Tavondre Sweat.
Right, and he's more explosive. But Tavondre Sweat, I still think is going to be a really solid player for them.
I mean, he's a solid player. He's just not a really good player.
Well, really good at that position, though, doesn't mean get sacks. It means push the pile so the edge guys can get sacks, push the inside of the
They didn't get a
pass
lot of sacks
protection.
last year, Trev.
No, nobody did, but it wasn't because of him. There were a bunch of times when he was double teamed, and he still got pressure up the middle.
How is it when it comes to the Titans and these double teams? You guys played football. You tell me. How is it when it comes to the Titans and these alleged double teams? Does Tavondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons seem to get double teamed on every play, and thus neither can sack the quarterback? Because all I ever hear Simmons do is bitch about how he's getting double teamed.
Listen, they didn't bring in, they didn't bring in Tavondre Sweat. They didn't draft Tavondre Sweat to be a sack getter.
That's not what they said.
drafted Tavondre Sweat. With a guys that big, you're not, at most, you're going to get maybe 4 sacks out of a Tavondre Sweat. He's a guy that sort of, because he's going to push the pocket, he's almost like sometimes he's just going to fall into sacks sometimes because of guys trying to get away and they just fall into
Like
him.
when you called on the pregame show that he was going to get that sack.
Exactly, and he got
CJ
it.
Stroud ran into him.
He fell right into him. Why? Because he's
Yeah.
pushing the pocket. The quarterback escapes out. Then the quarterback has to maneuver again, and you run right into big Tavondre Sweat. He makes it hell for you to run the football, and he pushes the pocket. That's the one thing that Tom Brady used to fuss about all the time. Not a guys coming off the edge, because he could see those guys. It was those guys coming up the window. Why? Because I can't step into my pass now.
You know, that would sound
And that's
great.
what Tavondre Sweat does for the Titans.
That would sound great
Yeah.
if the Titans didn't go 0-2 against Mac Jones last year.
Man, this guy. I mean, it wasn't Tavondre Sweat's fault.
It's like when I was playing craps one time at the Borgata in
Hold
Atlantic
on.
City.
How did you blame that on Tavondre
That's what I'm
Sweat?
saying. We were like, Tom Brady used to hate when this would happen.
But I'm
like,
saying, like-
well, let's worry about getting Mac Jones first, and then we worry about Tom Brady.
How did we get? But Tavondre Sweat, that wasn't because of Tavondre Sweat.
Tavondre Sweat is hilarious.
He
You
didn't
want to
help them
watch
win the game.
And he's
football
he's disruptive.
comedy?
Yes.
When one guy, a guard or a center, is trying to pass block him, just watch him, because very often he'll take that guy and throw him aside like a rag doll, and you will laugh because it's hilarious.
I know, but I can get a fat guy like that later.
No, you can't. No, you can't. You can't. Not all big guys can play like that. I play with a lot of big guys, and they don't play
There was
like
this one
Tavondre
guy,
Sweat.
Hankinson. Who do you think? Who do you think's a better football player, Henry Ford or Tavondre Sweat?
Tavondre Sweat.
Now, Henry Ford was drafted in the first round. I asked Floyd one time, I was like, why did Henry Ford butt? You know what? Let's take a break right here. 615, I don't even know why you gave out the phone number. All right, Cincinnati's on the clock at 17. Draft night in Nashville continues. 102.5 the game. Cincinnati has just made their pick at 17 overall, and it is Shamar Stewart, the edge rusher out of A&M, the guy who never gets sacks. He's an edge rusher. He's got the best measurables, the best combine speed, the best, and he's got no production. That might be, as of right now, the worst pick of the night. If I had to rank the 3 worst picks, number 1, Shamar Stewart at 17 to the Bengals. Number 2, Tyler Booker to the Cowboys at 12. And number 3, Cam Ward to the Titans at number 1.
See, this is what I don't understand, about execs and GMs and teams. We talk so much about production. A guy's been productive all his career, or he's had production the last 2 years in college. But then you see a guy like this, Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M, that didn't have much production in college. But because of the measurables and the 4.5 speed, all of a sudden he becomes a top 20 pick.
Yeah.
And then you wonder if he turns out to not be good, then you wonder, like, well, where did I go wrong?
What happened?
He didn't have a production in college.
Yeah, you wonder, this guy he's big, he's strong, he can run, he can jump. Yay. Let me tell you his sacks the last 3 years. You ready?
2.
22, 3 years ago, he had 1.5 sacks. But then
a whole 1.5.
In 2023, he had 1.5 sacks. And then last year in 2024, he had 1.5 sacks. And he just went 17.
That is a disgrace. They should make Joe Burrow the general manager and coach of that team. Because he kind of already is, but now they really just need to go ahead and make him the coach.
But he's not a Tavondre Sweat, big old guy.
No, he's an edge rusher. He's supposed to get sacks.
He's 6'5", 267, and he ran a 4.59 40 at the combine, but he doesn't finish. So the question is, why doesn't he finish? And the Bengals will have to figure out how to coach that out of him.
Yeah, I mean, he's an athletic guy, but when you have a guy that's not, and I hate to say this, I'm not saying he's not a football player. Yes, he has the 40. Yes, he has the speed. Yes, but is he technically sound? Can he do the right take? Can he? Yeah, you can rush the passer, but what happens when you get a tackle in your face? What are you going to do? So those are the things that the Cincinnati Bengals are definitely going to have to find out.
But I'm curious, Jared. I mean, since you hate anybody that weighs more than 200 pounds, last year they drafted a tackle with the 7th pick, J.C. Latham, out of Alabama. That guy is listed at 6'6", 342. Then in the next round last year, they drafted Tavondre Sweat, who's listed at 362, who's the guy that plays all 3 downs, at least he did at Texas, and he would pursue sideline to sideline. He didn't just sit there as a big old lump and didn't leave the middle of the field, in the middle of the formation. And the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles famously have the biggest offensive line in the game, like around 330 average. And what the Titans tried to do last year was get bigger and more powerful on the offensive and defensive lines, but they weigh more than 220 pounds, so you don't like them, right?
I guess he doesn't.
See, I like the way they're building this team. Last year, they used the first 2 rounds.
Well, the owner didn't because she fired the general manager.
Well, got bigger and stronger. This year, they finished filling out the starting offensive line. Defense has a whole lot of work to be done. But I like what they're doing, and I like what they did in anticipation of drafting Cam Ward #1 to get him good protection. And now they need to get him better receivers, more dynamic receivers, and they'll need to get depth on the offensive line because if one guy gets hurt, the drop-off is pretty huge.
Now, there's been 2 tackles selected, 2 guards, 5 interior linemen all together.
No. There have been 3 tackles.
That's it, 3 tackles, 2 guards.
Yeah.
5 all together. There could be a run on tackle. I mean, there could be a run on offensive linemen, which would then possibly help the Tennessee Titans and probably getting the guy that they are earmarking.
So Tampa and Denver are up. I don't know what they're going to do. The Steelers at 21, they could go quarterback because obviously they don't have a quarterback. They could go quarterback at 21. You know, where I really would start to get excited as a Titan fan is if Emeka Ibuka, Matthew Golden, and Luther Burden survive 22 at the Chargers and 23 at the Packers that are kind of receiver needy. If you can get past 23 and that there's still Golden and Ibuka and Burden and Ezeraku and Pierce, there's a really good chance one of those guys is going to fall to you at 35.
Yeah, there's a possibility, and because it would serve the purpose of need and possibly best player available, or at least one of the best players available at that particular time. So if these guys get pushed down, if they're sort of closer to the end of the first round than not, and it seems like they may just get there, at least one of the receivers may just get there, I think they're going to have a good opportunity of drafting a guy or two, because both of the guys, there may be 2 or 3 guys there that they thought wouldn't be there. So still will be in a place where they can draft a guy that not just the best player, but a guy of need. For them.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I would ask you guys as receivers now, right? What's better to help a young quarterback? Beef up the defense so that the quarterback doesn't have to score as many points to win, or let the defense struggle a bit, but get him more weapons to throw the ball to. What's better for a young quarterback?
In my opinion, I say having a better defense. And the reason why I say the defense, that even if your quarterback struggles, makes bad decisions, giving up interceptions, your defense is going to help you out to try to get the ball back and not, give up any points. But if you have a terrible defense and your quarterback is struggling and he throws interceptions and they keep scoring, your quarterback's going to struggle. Why? Because he's playing catch up as opposed to let your defense win.
I just think if you're going to draft a defensive player, I think it's going to put tremendous stress on your offense. I played against offense, played with offenses. Hell, Chris, no. We didn't score many points here in Tennessee, and they were grinding out games. And I can remember old Blaine Bishop coming and fussing on the sideline because we can't score points. It puts a tremendous stress on that defense, man. And I've seen the Baltimore Ravens go through it as well. I was on that team a year we were not as good as we were the previous year, and how much stress it put on that defense, and how many of those defensive guys would come to me and we would sit down and talk about the offense.
This with all due respect, but how does that make it sound when you're like, I was on this team on offense and we couldn't score any points?
No, it's
and
true.
Then I was on another team and we couldn't score any points.
It was true for that season.
Where were you? Go score the points.
No. We just didn't have that offense for whatever reason. We were not able to score points the way we needed to. We were averaging. We were one of the. I can remember one year in Baltimore where we didn't average over, I think it was like 19 or 20 points somewhere around.
Was that the year that Troy Smith played quarterback?
It was the year a bunch of guys got hurt. And a bunch of guys got hurt on defense too. And we put so much pressure on those defensive guys because we couldn't score points.
And Ray Lewis came up to you in the locker room. He said, Derek, if you don't score any more points than this.
No, you can't say it. I'm going to go. No, but what it does is it put a string. And I get what you're saying, Trevor, as far as like beef up Chris, beef up your defense, and that means you don't have to score enough points. But as we know in this league, you gotta score points. You have to, and when you can't go score points, you put a tremendous stress on your defense each and every week to be perfect.
Yeah, I just think that a young quarterback, he needs to build confidence. And everything is stacked against him unless he's Jaden Daniels, taken number 2 last year by the Commanders, right? That guy was just brilliant out of the box. Most young quarterbacks are going to be confused by stuff. They're going to be, they're not going to recognize certain things. And it seems to me, giving them more weapons, guys that'll get open in more parts of the field, that'll stress the opposing defense. I would rather lose a game 35-45, but my young quarterback is feeling it, man. He's really feeling it. Then lose a game 15-20, and my young quarterback can't get a first down.
I.e. Cincinnati Bengals. They can't stop a nosebleed, but
They
you know
got
what?
that.
Their quarterback got enough. He can put up
It's
30
okay. They
points.
just drafted a guy who gets 1.5 sacks a season.
They still ain't gonna be able to stop a nosebleed.
Of course.
Well, that means schedule them. Schedule them now.
That means Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase are gonna have to put up 40 points a game
But-
once again.
Well, Trevor, let me ask you this: if you have a great defense, but you get a rookie quarterback and he struggles a little bit, doesn't that give your quarterback a chance to maybe grow? You see what I'm saying? As opposed to having to be the hero of saving the game.
Chris, I agree with you in general if you have a great defense. But with the 35th pick, the first pick in the second
Gotcha.
round,
Gotcha.
the Titans are not going to do enough to make that defense anywhere near
Gotcha.
good enough to help the quarterback. But they can get a receiver potentially that'll help him have some confidence. in that
Well, they got Golden.
No,
Oh, they
The
got
Bucs
Emeka.
got Emeka Ibuka.
Yeah.
So they're going to have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, who they just paid $1 gazillion to, and Emeka Ibuka.
Yeah.
Don't schedule them.
All those people that kept having Emeka Ibuka outside of the first round of those mock drafts, these people are stupid.
But
Emeka
listen,
Ibuka is absolutely a first-round pick.
again, we throw a bunch of stuff on the wall and just hope some of it stick. And 9 times out of 10, it doesn't.
Yeah, but see, a lot of times you just throw stuff on the wall and it should have stuck.
Yeah.
But a team made a decision that is a head scratcher, and sometimes that turns out to be a really great decision. We just didn't know it, but that team did. And sometimes it turns out that team really blew it. Like when the Raiders took Cleveland Farrell, edge rusher from Clemson, with the 4th pick, I think it was. He's a pretty good player. Maybe even a late first-round draft just before in the draft. And it turned out that he didn't pan out.
So here's what's going to be crazy. Here comes the run on receivers, because I think Denver could use a receiver, and the Chargers at 22 could use a receiver. And right now, the only guys that are left are Golden and Luther Burden. And so I think Luther Burden's going in the first round tonight. I think that Luther Burden will be gone by the 23rd pick to Green Bay. I think they'll both be gone by the 23rd pick.
You may just be right on that. I'm trying to, let me see. Receivers still available. There could be, because the way I look at it is this. Yes, Golden is left. Yes, Burden is left. But that doesn't mean that someone's going to draft him. We're hearing that Burden is dropping. Luther Burden III is dropping. Does that mean he's going to drop out the first round? We don't know.
Yeah, but the Chargers and the Packers need.
But maybe they got the same. Maybe they're thinking, the off the field, the other stuff, or is he coachable? Maybe that don't work for him.
Well, Ezaraku would be interesting with Green Bay, because Green Bay's defensive coordinator was the head coach at Boston College, and Ezaraku's at Boston from Boston College. So that one could be at least a little fascinating, like we could see. Again, I just want to draft one day where the Titans make me happy.
That's impossible, though.
In fairness, we were seniors in high school playing baseball, and we were playing a doubleheader against Webb. And I remember we went to go eat in between the games, and we're on the bus, and someone, like back in the days of flip phones, someone was like, "Oh, they took Chris Johnson." And I was like, "Oh, God, why? Why? They have Chris Henry. They don't need Chris Johnson." So I always preface it with that. What's funny is I used to be, back in the day, a very optimistic Titan fan.
What happened? When did you become a not optimistic Titans fan?
That's a really good question, because I was I think the first true heartbreak I ever had in my life was when you guys lost to the Ravens in 2000. I was 11 years old and absolutely heartbroken. And so then every year I used to be super optimistic, and then, things would happen, like Drew Bennett would drop the ball against New England, or, John Simon and Robert Holcomb would fumble the ball against the Raiders. But I was okay with that.
That hurt.
Then the Vince Young era, Vince Young was the man. I want to say like at the end there, I think Jeff Fisher broke my spirit. I think that like the whole Vince Young, Jeff Fisher, pads in the stands, Randy Moss, like that was, I think, when I kind of lost my belief in him.
Okay, we had a discussion today about this type of thing. The Titans and their quarterbacks. Why haven't they been able to develop anyone outside of Steve McNair in the first round, quarterback wise? And you start to look at each quarterback that they drafted: Vince Young, Marcus Mariota, Jake Locker. Who else was in the first round? Those three.
Levis,
yeah. So you're talking 4 quarterbacks. In each situation, why do you think it went wrong? Vince Young. Why do you think it went wrong with Vince Young?
I felt like there was no cohesion between the quarterback and the coach with Vince Young.
Okay.
I don't think Vince Young was cut out to be an NFL quarterback.
Well, see, I
thought he was a great college quarterback.
I used to ask Floyd about this, and every time he would say, all I know is when I was here, he was rookie of the year and going to the Pro Bowl, which was like, football talk for they screwed him up. You know what I mean?
That or
it made
then
no
after
sense.
that, defensive coordinators figured him out, and he couldn't adjust.
It made no sense to hire Matt Leinart's coordinator to coach Vince Young. The Ravens, when they turned it over to Lamar, they totally scrapped the offense and put in an offense built around Lamar Jackson. And the Titans didn't do that. They tried to get Vince Young to play Matt Leinart's offense.
Well, Matt Leinart can't do anything that Vince Young can do.
That's the point. That's why. That's because they're stupid.
But he was a heck of a ballroom dancer.
But I think that Mariota, I don't know if Mariota ever had like the true like lion inside of him. But at the same time, like the Wizen Hunt stuff, and then they change the coordinator, and then they bring in Malarkey, and then they bring in Matt LaFleur, and then he got hurt, and it was that. I think that kind of set him back a little bit. I just don't think Jake Locker or Will Levis were ever accurate enough to be good NFL players.
I don't think Jake Locker ever had it deep down. I don't think he loved the game that much.
Yeah. Like when you like lose your job and then you quit, it's kind of like you really don't love it that much.
Really did. There was something in you that's like it wasn't in your core. And that's okay.
Like Tannehill got kind of put in the same spot, and Tannehill was like, okay, I'm going to show you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Whereas Locker's like, all right, I'm going home.
And I think looking back on those 4 quarterbacks, that's why every time it leads me back to, well, it's the fan base that doesn't trust the organization. It's not necessarily them not trusting the quarterback. Why? Because they've just basically messed up 4 quarterbacks that they drafted in the first round or early enough that we would consider it a first round.
So how do they avoid that with Cam Ward?
That's the big question.
Different bunch of guys.
That's the answer. Yeah.
And I think what they've done so far has been borderline brilliant to help Cam Ward because of what they've done with the offensive line. They brought in a couple of veteran receivers, guys that aren't necessarily big threats as receivers. They're good enough to go get open and make some catches. But receivers that can teach the quarterback what a quarterback needs to do for a receiver.
You know what the NFL should do? They got the kid from the Make-A-Wish Foundation up there for the Broncos pick. The NFL, what they should do is they should auction off. Instead of bringing in the former players, have you ever done that, by the way?
No, I've never done it. No.
Why not?
Because Titans didn't invite me. And Baltimore.
Me either.
Honor Landry. Harold Landry, when Vince Young called Harold Landry Honor Landry. But what they should do is they should auction off the night 2 picks to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. It's like, how much would somebody pay to go up there and be like, the Cleveland Browns select? I think they pay a lot of money for that.
Why would you want to charge Make-A-Wish?
What about
Jahade Barron to the Broncos at 20.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Yeah.
That's a good pick for our hopes that the Titans can get a receiver.
Yeah, the receivers are still dropping.
Golden receiver or one of the better edge rushers.
Yeah.
Or the South Carolina safety.
Okay, Pittsburgh's on the clock at 21.
Here it is.
Shador or not Shador?
Look at you, Hamlet.
Thank you. That is the question.
It's gonna be
Hammy, not Hamlet.
If they take Jackson Dart here, I am going to laugh my tush off.
If they take who?
Jackson Dart.
Oh, that's what I just said.
Why are you going to laugh?
Because it's like we had all this hype about Shador, and he doesn't even go in the top.
That's not Shador's
two
fault.
quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's not Shador's fault.
No, he's a TV prospect.
That's not his fault either.
No, it's not. Just like it's not the Cowboys' fault that they're a TV team.
That kind of is.
No, if the Cowboys
Yes,
said,
leadership.
hey, Sunday Night Football, don't put us on. Put Jacksonville on instead. NBC would say, screw you. The Cowboys do not have a choice. They do like it, but they do not have a choice. So what do we think? Do we think the Steelers go Sanders here? I don't.
I don't know.
It's tough because, I mean, they may be trading Pickens. So if they may be trading Pickens, they're going to need another wide receiver.
Do you know what I think the ace in the hole with the Steelers is?
What's that?
If they don't get Aaron Rodgers and they don't draft a quarterback? Nobody talks about this. Tannehill. Arthur Smith's the coordinator.
Yeah.
I think Tannehill would do it if he knows he can start. I don't think Tannehill at this point in his career has any interest in backing up. But if he knows he can start, I think he was waiting last year for somebody to get hurt and then to call him, and nobody got hurt last year. That's like on a good team.
Does Tannehill have so much money that he could turn down $7 million to be a backup and never get hit?
I think Tannehill has made like $300 million in his career.
Is he open
Although,
to
let me say
adopting
this.
an older son?
Let me say this, and I mean this with all due respect because we know Tannehill's got money. I like Tannehill. I don't know if Tannehill likes me or not. We flew on the same Southwest flight coming back from Fort Lauderdale a couple years ago, and Tannehill was in the family boarding group after us. So, like, I boarded the plane before Ryan Tannehill. I'm like, dude, what are you flying Southwest for?
It's cheap. I don't blame him.
No more free bags, Ryan.
Damn. You're right
Hey,
about
Jared,
that.
Jared, let me ask you this question. If the Pittsburgh Steelers don't
The
get a
pick is
receiver,
in.
do the Titans trade up and get a receiver?
If the Steelers don't?
If the Steelers don't.
No.
You don't think there's a trade? I was just talking to TD.
He thinks they might trade up?
Yeah, we just kind of discussing.
Why are they showing Jackson Dart
And,
like
and that's
this?
why I want to give TD a shout out because he
Hold
threw
on.
that out there.
Why are they showing Jackson Dart and his family like that? I mean, do
they
they
might be
expect
Oh
taking
my
him.
gosh.
to be
They got
drafted by Pittsburgh?
If they take
Wow.
him, if they take him, the Jared Stillman mock draft.
You got it. If they did, yeah.
You had Jackson Dart to the Steelers.
I did at 21, yeah.
That would make you 2 for 21.
Exactly, Jay.
That beats-
Now, here's what I've hit so far.
That beats
Jared?
most of the
So, like,
pundits.
does it count like Travis Hunter at 2 to the Browns? He ended up going 2 to the Jacks. That
Yeah.
counts, though, right?
Yeah, he won number
If he
2.
went in the slot,
He won number 2.
Ward, Hunter, Carter, Campbell, Membu at 7, hit that one. Banks at 9, I hit, though he went to New Orleans and not the Texans, as I have here, on a trade, and Walker at 15.
Jared, man, you need to go to Vegas with that.
If they take Jackson Dart here,
Oh,
then
this is
I will.
bananas.
Mel Kiper will have a
Pick is in.
freaking
I don't think it's Jackson
meltdown.
Dart.
You
I don't
should
think-
have him on the show if you hit this.
They need another wide receiver.
Here we go. Goodell says with the 21st pick. Derek Harmon.
Defensive
beast.
tackle out of Oregon.
Trevor, you say they're all a beast. You're like
He's
these
a-
guys on TV that are like,
He
who's
studies
his
them.
comp? Aaron Rodgers. I don't know.
We're in the first round of the draft. Most of
Although
these
you
guys
did
are
think
beasts.
that McMillan was going to be a bust. I'll give you that.
McMillan.
Teteroa.
Yeah, no. Yeah, there's things about him in his traits that I don't think translate well to the NFL.
You know what? I did say this, though. A run on the defensive lineman. So Nolan, Harmon, Grant, those guys are all off the board now. That's good for the Titans because obviously the Titans are not looking at the defensive linemen. Now, I think the Chargers are going to go sprint the card in for Matthew Golden here. But if Golden makes it past the next 2, I may have to call the Vikings at 24 before the Texans at 25.
I don't think the Texans will take a wide receiver.
I think the Texans are going to take that tackle that got hurt at Ohio State because
Josh Simmons,
the big right tackle.
He's a left tackle,
okay.
and he's good. Like he would be. Trevor, what do you think if he was healthy at Ohio State?
But
this
he only
year,
played 2 games this year, didn't he?
Definite first round. No, he got hurt, I think, against Oregon.
Okay.
I think he would have gone 4 to the Patriots to play left tackle.
It might have been 2 games. I think that was September, October. Yeah, no, he would have been a mid-first round draft choice had he stayed healthy.
Do you think he would have gone ahead of Campbell?
I think he's better than Campbell.
Okay.
I don't know that he'd have gone ahead of
So
him.
the Texans signed Cam Robinson to a 1-year deal to play left tackle. So they can take Simmons and then let him heal up. You're not trading any extra draft capital to take the risk on allowing his patella tendon to heal up. And then when he comes back, you can put him at guard this year and then kick him out next year when Cam Robinson leaves. So I think the Texans at 25 are probably thinking, okay, we're going to take the Simmons kid, or we're going to take the Jackson kid, the other one from Ohio State. So I don't think they go Golden there, but I think the Chargers are going Golden here at 22.
Yeah, last year they picked the left tackle and moved him to right tackle. So they went offensive line high in the first round last year, the Chargers did. It would make sense to go for a little guy for Justin Herbert to be able to throw to. Thing about Golden is that, he ran a 4.29 40, I believe, at the combine. He's lightning fast, but at Texas, he was really the only guy that was a threat down the field. When it was time to throw the ball down the field, Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning threw it to Golden, and the defense knew that he would be the guy they'd be thrown to down the field, and they still couldn't stop him.
I think Golden's awesome.
He is. He's explosive, man.
Although I would not rule out Will Johnson, Michigan, Harbaugh, the coach. Does he look at this as like, hey, this is our opportunity? Maybe they lied about his knee and said, oh, yeah, let's lie and say he's got a knee so he falls to us. But
that happened.
I think Golden is the pick.
He's a good player. I mean, and when you talk about a receiver that's explosive, get the ball in his hands and let him make some plays. I think that'll be a good pick.
This kid can do it all, man. And what I love about him, too, is he's a returner. He has return ability. So if he falls, which I don't think he will, but if he falls past the Chargers, somehow, some way is falling toward the bottom half of the first round, I'm not sure if I would make a call to try to get back up in the first round. Because I think you serve two purposes. You don't have a punt returner, and you don't have the receiver with the speed and the playmaking ability of Golden.
Yeah, but
you're getting both.
And I agree with you there. But they said in the press conference, what was it, yesterday now? Seems like a year ago, that they want to stockpile picks in the top 100 of the next 3 drafts, including this one. And in this one, they don't have a third-round pick.
Yeah.
So to go from 35 high in the second round, back up into the first round,
it's going to cost you.
With what capital?
Yeah,
and then they'll end up with 3 guys in this draft.
Hey, the Titans did that one year. Ended up with Rashawn Evans and Dane Cruikshank.
Cruikshank?
Although Cruikshank wasn't bad.
No, he was okay.
He was all right.
I was a Cruikshank fan.
Remember, though, when Mike Ditka, head coach of the Saints at the time, traded his entire draft for the right to draft Ricky Williams, running back out of Texas. They had 1 pick in that draft, and it was Ricky.
Ricky had a really, really good career.
Where?
But man, oh, man. It didn't, to give up all of that, the production and the longevity didn't match with the Saints.
Well, that's because he smoked too much pot.
He went on tour with Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah.
I don't understand how, Ricky Williams go smoke pot for an entire year, come back, run for 2,000 yards.
Crazy.
And it's like, dude, if I smoked that much pot, I'd be 450 pounds. I'd be ordering pizza every night, pizza and wings and everything else. I don't understand how skinny people smoke that much pot.
Hey, they found a way to, man. You got to continue to work out, I guess.
Oh, my God.
Chris, can I ask you if you've ever smoked pot?
No, never.
You've never smoked pot? I figured you hadn't.
That's why you're not skinny.
I was too afraid to, man. I was just too afraid to.
Why were you afraid to?
I don't know, because and this is not trying to get all mushy, but I just saw how it ruined a lot of people's lives. It ruined one of my cousins that was a better athlete than me, and it took him out.
Ate too much pizza?
Yeah. He ate a lot of pizza. No, I'm just saying it took him out, that he was strung out.
I think the NFL should allow pot.
I think they do.
It helps to ease pain that a lot of guys now are taking hardcore opioids.
I know, that's
to
crazy.
ease, and the pot doesn't hurt them as bad as the oxy. And I'm saying that as a guy who doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, never has done drugs, never has done any of this stuff. And I still think the NFL should legalize marijuana.
Did you take all those pills and stuff with all those surgeries, though?
Actually, they thought I was crazy because most of the time I didn't.
Oh.
When I had
Yeah.
when I had my hips replaced, I would take, the narcotics for 5 days or so afterwards.
God, that sounds awful.
I had shoulder surgery one time, and the nurse came in and said, "Okay, you can have anything you want. You can have Demerol, you can have Oxycontin, you can have Percocet." I said, I feel pretty good. How about some Tylenol? She said, "No, you're not hearing me. You can have anything you want."
Yeah, I want Tylenol.
Give it to me.
But here's why. I'm afraid I'll like it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have to exclude
That's a
that from my
great
life
point.
because I like it.
So here's a true story. I don't know if I should tell this on the air or not.
Say it.
But it those weed gummies are legal and stuff now here.
Yeah.
So I never touched the stuff until I was 27, weed. And then I went on a bachelor party to Denver, did it. And I remember thinking man, why did Le'Veon Bell lose all this money over this thing? It ain't that good. And then when COVID hit and they made the THC, whatever things legal at the places that advertise with us, Green Trees. And those places, what was I going to do? I was watching TV and, whatever.
Man, do what you do.
And now I really never drink anymore.
Yeah.
Because
There's no need
it's I feel like crap, I don't feel the need to do it.
Yeah, to each his own when it comes to that. So,
Right.
Well,
Absolutely.
listen, I didn't do it in high school. I was scared of my parents.
I was scared to get in
I
trouble.
was scared of my parents.
I was scared of your parents. I didn't even know.
And you know what? I'm glad, though, to Trevor's. If I started doing that in high school, I would have been 9 million pounds.
Oh, man. Didn't do it in college because I was just scared I was something's going to happen.
Dylan, take care of yourself.
So there
buddy.
we go. There we go.
Good to see y'all.
No, I just know so many people that came to not be able to resist it.
Yeah.
And I've seen what it did to their lives. Not everybody's like that.
Right.
But the people that were, it ruined them. And I just don't want to take the chance.
I don't think that's a bad idea. That's why I don't really sports gamble. I don't get into that because I don't want to sit there and be like, oh, well, I don't have any action on the game, so now I'm not interested in it.
You want to be interested in it outside of gambling.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's hard to be if you are a hardcore gambler.
So somebody texted me and said, Joe Rexroad has never been more wrong about Shedeur Sanders being a TV prospect. I have watched the NFL Network, and they have spent more time on Shedeur Sanders than every drafted player combined.
But I'm saying, is that Shedeur's fault?
No, but it's just the truth. He was just not. He was never that good of a prospect.
But
he's Deion's kid, and everyone watch him play in college.
If you watch him play, now, if you just seriously watch him play, the kid is a NFL quarterback.
Yes, he is.
Now, is he an elite quarterback? Where does he fall in that spectrum of quarterbacks? I think he can play in this league. I don't think what I saw throughout the last 2 years was a facade. He did things that some quarterbacks can't do. He didn't have the luxury of a great offensive line. Hell, he didn't have the luxury of a good offensive line. But he made do. He made play within the offense.
I am so tired of hearing the excuses about his.
No, it's not.
line.
It's not an excuse.
It's not an excuse.
It's
He
the
had no
truth.
protection.
Yes,
Well,
but he
blame his
still,
dad.
but he still found a way to be productive and win football games for the University of Colorado. Where were they before Travis, and Coach Sanders got there? They were horrible.
Yeah.
He along
Chargers
with
at
those other
22.
people, allowed that program to change.
But here's a scouting report on him. And the scouts will disagree with this. Mike Kiper
Omarion
disagrees.
Hampton,
Who is that?
He's
a
a
running
beast.
back out of North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
You say they're all a beast, Trevor.
He's about 220 pounds. He's fast. He plays with viciousness. He's a good enough receiver. And he's one of the most effective running backs in all of college football.
I think the
last year.
Vikings at 24, so he went at 22. I think the Vikings at 24 are probably pretty upset about
But this is good because it pushes everybody else down
Everybody down.
towards
Receivers.
35.
Yep.
But see, Shedeur Sanders, here's sort of the consensus scouting report on him. That he doesn't have any elite physical traits. His arm is good, but he doesn't have Cam Ward's elite ability to flick the ball. He is sort of mobile, but he doesn't have, mobility as one of a great trait. He's got great mental traits in terms of calmness and courage and things like that. But here's the thing. A lot of his plays happened because he got flushed out of the pocket at Colorado immediately. So now instead of drop, set, throw, it would be drop, run for your life. And then he would extend plays by 8 or 10 seconds. And his receivers would have defenders just plastered on him running all around the field man coverage, and he'd find an open one and throw it. Not his fault, but that's what happened with them a lot. And then BYU in the bowl game. In the first half, BYU didn't show him the same look twice. They showed him different coverages, alignments, personnel groups, different pressures, different disguises. Didn't show him the same look twice in the first half. And in the second half, they still kept mixing it up.
I was told that I talked to an agent who said that Shedeur Sanders turned everybody off at the combine. That apparently the way he acted really bothered
But
him.
how was he acting?
He was making everybody late. He was making other prospects late. He was trying to he made everybody feel small, is what I was told.
When you look at Shedeur, because I'm sitting here and because there's nothing that he does elite. He doesn't do anything elite. He's good at some things, he's a little bit better at others, but he doesn't do anything elite. Is he a Brock Purdy? And I mean this, Brock Purdy now. Like Brock Purdy, we understand he's reached his ceiling pretty much. If you put a team around him, he can orchestrate your offense.
Distributor.
Yeah, he can distribute the football. Doesn't have the strongest arm. He anticipates very well. He can get outside the pocket if he needs to, but he's not going to win games necessarily for you.
Yes, that's a good comparison.
Here's my theory. They have the same tangibles, but Purdy does not have the same, like Purdy has the intangibles that I don't know if Shedeur has.
Well, the thing about Shedeur, I was saying that the bowl game against BYU, when BYU gave him a different look every time, Shedeur was lost, completely lost. And so really for Shedeur to succeed in the NFL, he's got to duplicate what Tom Brady did, which is to say be the world champion at preparation. Prepare better, learn more and better than all of his competition, because that's what made Brady great. And if he doesn't do that, he doesn't have the physical traits to be able to overcome it.
By the way, Green Bay is on the clock right here at 23. They need a pass rusher and a receiver. Trevor, if you're Green Bay, because if Golden doesn't go here, I think there's a legitimate shot the Titans may be able to find a way to get him.
You have to trade up.
Ezaraku, you're the Packers. You need a receiver. You need an edge rusher. Ezaraku, who played for Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator of the Packers at Boston College, or Golden.
If I am the Packers don't draft skill guys very much in the first round. They drafted Jordan Love, but they don't typically draft skill guys. They draft big guys and medium-sized guys. And so Ezaraku, as an edge rusher, is more likely according to their tradition of drafting. And the thing is, he's a really productive edge rusher, and I think he'll translate well to the NFL. But when you have the potential for a receiver like Matthew Golden out of Texas, who ran one of the fastest 40s at the combine, he was 4.29, and Max Hairston, defensive back out of Kentucky, ran 4.28. That was the fastest this year. And a guy who was productive using that speed, not just to catch the ball deep, but then yards after catch as well, making something out of nothing, getting those extra yards. I think Green Bay needs to go against their type and go for that receiver, because when you make your team that much faster, you set yourself up for success.
Yeah, and if you just look at the receivers that are on their roster, I mean, they got Christian Watson, they got
Not
Jaden,
fast.
not too fast. You got Jaden Reed, and you got Hardeman.
Mecole Hardman.
Yeah,
he's fast.
So who on that roster scares you? So if you get a guy like Golden, he's gonna put some fear in some defenses and make your quarterback better. So I think that I hope they don't get Golden, but I think that might be the pick of one of these other receivers.
Yeah, the thing about Hardman, though, He came out of Georgia super fast, just blazing fast. But the Chiefs let him go. Miami has him. They let him go. The Chiefs picked him back up. They ended up letting him go. So this is an example of a guy who's really fast but not that productive.
Yeah.
Whereas Golden in college was really fast and productive.
Miss the old days when the Titans used to be good.
They're going to be good this year.
No, they're not.
Okay.
How
I'm not
good?
sure.
How good are they going to be this
They're
year?
going to win more games than they did last year.
Oh, that's not good.
You just like to fuss, man.
I'm
just trying to be optimistic, man.
I know you are. Give me a win-loss total today.
No, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. Can't do it.
So we went from good to win more games than last year to I can't do it right now. I can't
do it
tell
right
you
now.
I'm going to win or
Because you will replay this and you let me have it. I can't do it.
You know what, though? That's good thinking right there.
Listen, I think Green Bay has a good group of wide receivers. They're all young. If they add Golden, it's just another young wide receiver.
So you think it's going to be Ezraku?
I think it's going to be a defensive. Yeah, I think it's going to be the other guy, the defensive player. I wouldn't be shocked if they drafted a wide receiver, but their wide receiver room is so young. I think they would rather have a veteran guy than another young guy. So they talked about the youth last year during the season with Green Bay in their receiving corps.
Trevor, I do want your opinion, and the pick is in, so when Goodell gets there, we'll just tell you who it is. There's two safeties. There's Nick Emanwari from South Carolina and Malachi Starks from Georgia. Do either of those two guys have Mika Fitzpatrick-type potential? Because if they do, I would not be opposed to that at 35 if that's the best player on the board.
I think the guy from South Carolina is the one you want. He's 6'3", 220 pounds, lightning fast, and that combination of traits puts him in position to be able to cover those big wide receivers or those big tight ends that are moved out into the slot, moved into wide receiver specifically because the guys covering him out there are all 5'11", right? And so Starks is a very good player. But we have to check and see how tall Starks is. But I think that, Starks got beat a lot last year. And I was a little worried about him because, teams weren't afraid to go after him. And there were plenty of times when they got him. So Malachi Starks, Georgia. I'm looking for height and weight here real quick. And my computer's frozen, so you'll have to tell us what his height and weight is.
On Malachi Starks?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
But I like the South Carolina guy better just because he's got physical traits that you can't coach. And truthfully, when you can draft a guy with physical traits you can't coach, who also is a productive football player, you have a better chance of succeeding with him.
He's 6'1", 197.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big guy.
Cam Ward better be freaking Mahomes if they turn down that
I
package
hope
from
he
the
is
Giants.
Mahomes.
The pressure's on, man.
But if he's Jalen Hurts, I'm not going to.
Hey, you know who's going to put the most pressure on him?
You.
Me.
I know you are.
Man,
I do
just say
think
the
about
pick.
this. I do think about this with these other cities that are like tough. Like I heard Elliot Friedman on your show today, Derek, talking about how like if Jonathan Marchessault said that in Toronto, it would have been a 5-alarm fire. And I'm like, well, they don't play football in Toronto, so there's no draft for them to worry about. That's why. But I'm like, man, when it comes to hockey, there's one guy who gets on your ass if you screw up. Me.
Yeah.
I like the only one that really just hammers somebody. I'm like, man, this town.
I think people, you go about it a different way than other people. I think people are still
all
critical.
of you people wanted to give Rand Carthon another chance after this year.
Hey, but I listen, I said
You're right, the ball didn't bounce their way.
No, I said then, if it doesn't work out, then yeah, he deserves to be fired. But I wasn't going to fire him after 1 year.
No,
or 2
I wouldn't
years.
either. So
that's why they're in the
let me ask
situation
you a
they're
question.
in right now. Why don't they just tell
No.
a pick? They got this
Oh,
Matthew Golden.
no.
What are they doing?
They took him.
They took
Oh,
Golden.
Matthew
that's a gimme.
Golden, the wide receiver out of Texas.
It's a wrap now. But
Well, Luther Burden's still out there, but I'm not even sure if Luther Burden's good. I knew the Packers were going receiver.
Luther Burden's
I'm
good.
shocked.
The dog, man.
I'm shocked that the Chargers didn't go Golden. I bet they wanted Ibuka, and when Ibuka went off the board, they were like,
Or they still believe in Johnson. who's been a bust. Johnson.
Oh yeah, he's
been a
like
bust.
Traylon Burks. He
Yeah,
sucks.
my goodness, he's been bad.
He stinks.
He couldn't catch a cold if you put him butt naked in the Arctic, man. Goodness, that man couldn't
What was
catch
that?
it.
I don't know.
I said he couldn't catch a cold if you put him in the Arctic with no clothes on, soaking wet.
Talking about Quentin Johnston.
Yeah, Quentin Johnston.
Yeah,
I wasn't high on when he came out of college.
I would have preferred a different visual.
I had an analytics guy tell me before the draft, an analytics guy with a team at the time before the draft that told me that was like, yo, Quentin Johnston sucks. But he also, same guy, was like, yo, Jamison Williams might be the truth. And Jamison Williams, I think he's more off the field
I think
than he is.
I think he's a damn good player, but his mentally, he's not mature enough yet.
Right.
And I think that's why they want to trade him away.
Like, I actually think the Titans might be a good fit for him because he gives them speed, but also Ridley went to Alabama and he went to Alabama. And I think maybe Ridley's the kind of guy, like Ridley and Lockett in the same room with him, maybe that would help him.
But I'm not giving up the picks for him. That's what you have, to do. Yeah.
I wouldn't.
I wonder why did it take him so long to draft to get that pick in? They already had it. I guess
Well, they had to say
Green
goodbye
Bay.
to the
Yeah.
president who's retiring after all these
Yeah.
years or whatever. And you know the Green Bay president, because Green Bay doesn't have an owner, so the
Yeah.
president, he really does like the bidding for the league.
Uh-huh.
So like if the league wants something, then they push it through Green Bay. So he was the one that submitted the tush push removal, and like that's if the league feels something, then the Green Bay president is the one who's going to signal,
Oh, okay.
what the league is thinking.
No wonder they had him up there talking.
That's what,
A little bit too
and
long.
Goodell hugged him,
Yeah.
and they basically kissed on the stage.
I wish there was a different visual.
I don't want to see that, man.
Minnesota's on the clock. This is a team
pick is
that I
in.
know.
Already?
What are we doing? Get him off the microphone.
That's what I'm saying. Like, man, the NFL, like, what are
It's
y'all
just- I don't
doing?
know, man. It's just dragging it out.
Maybe he has a message from President Trump too.
Yeah.
All I can see is the jacket. Is that
Gold.
MC Hammer?
I don't know what it is.
So
I'm
after Clay Matthews did that at the beginning, it would take everything in me. Like if I was not to go up there and say, I've got a message from, and like pick someone super controversial too. Like,
What is he saying?
I guess because it's in Green Bay, so they're going to give it extra attention.
Jeffrey Simmons didn't get any extra attention when he was here. They were showing him beating up that woman when he got picked.
Man.
They don't want to give the
Yeah,
Titans
come
much
on,
attention
man.
anyway.
Okay, so right now I'm looking at the next pick.
Do you think Jeffrey Simmons is too much of a crybaby?
Wow.
No, I don't think he's too much of a crybaby. I just think Jeffrey's trying to I think Jeff is trying to find his leadership form within a new team now. He's a leader of a team he's a leader of a different team he came into. The team he came into, he wasn't a leader.
Right, because of Henry and Byard and Tannehill.
And now when it's his turn to be a leader, those guys are no longer there. It's a whole different team now. Now he's trying to, how do I lead a team that, frankly, I am like one of the oldest dudes. So how do I lead a team and I only been in the league 5-6 years?
Okay,
he got to find it out. That's what I'm saying. He needs to find that out because we saw a little bit of it in a bad way at the beginning of camp when the first, the whole argument with Buck and then the fighting in camp. We saw it early. He started to mellow a little bit as the season went on, but he's trying to find his way of leading a team that is not familiar to him like it was when he first got here.
Well, D-Man, let me ask you this question. Do you see him as a leader? You see what I'm saying? I mean,
I don't see him as
pushing
the
it.
leader.
That's what I'm saying.
I see him as potentially one of the leaders.
Because I think, this is my opinion, and I'm just throwing out here. I think sometimes we're pushing him to lead, but maybe he's not a leader. You see, and I say that respectfully. I'm talking about the football player. I'm not talking about the man. I'm just saying we're pushing him in that role. Maybe he's not suitable for that role. You know what I'm saying?
And that's okay,
And that's
Trevor.
okay, yeah.
Like Trevor, that's okay if you are not a leader, it's okay.
It's okay.
Adam Schefter is reporting the Giants are trading back into the first round.
Shador?
I think it's going to be Jackson Dart.
quarterback. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, if you're trading back in the first round, it's more than likely for a quarterback,
I
right?
saw somebody say one of these. Minnesota's on the clock here. Their pick is in. Minnesota. Oh, I love him. Oh, my God.
He's a
From
great
Ohio
choice.
State.
Donovan Jackson, the guard slash tackle out of Ohio State. He played half the season at guard and was great. And then the left tackle got hurt and they kicked him out. Those my two favorite players, just Golden and Jackson. I freaking love Donovan Jackson.
Jared, he's a guard.
No, but he played tackle. So like I what I love about this is like you can draft him right now. You can play him at guard. See, what they're going to do is they're going to play him at guard. Then Brian O'Neill is going to leave, and they're going to put him at right tackle.
Right tackle.
The Giants are back in the first round.
Schefter's on TV screaming what they gave up. I don't know what they gave up.
Here's the thing, though. If the Giants don't take him, let's see, where in the first round?
Yeah, if the Giants don't
25.
If the Giants don't take him, he may
Well,
just
this would
fall
be
out
it
of the
then.
first round.
I think it's going to be Dart. The GM's son
If
put
he
up a
says
post
Dart,
about
it's-
Dart.
It's going to be bananas.
Here's the thing, though. We're assuming it's going to be a quarterback. If it's not Shador, number 26 is the Ram. Don't need a quarterback. Nope. 27 is the Ravens. Nope. Lions, Commanders, Bills,
Oh, my
Chiefs,
gosh.
Eagles.
Hold on, Trevor. Could the Rams use a quarterback? Because Stafford is only signed for, another 2 years? He got a 2-year extension.
Yeah, but do you take him in the first round? And
Late in the first round.
Do you do to Stafford what Green Bay did to Aaron Rodgers?
So the Giants get pick 25
Or do you maximize
for
his ability to win now?
34 and 2/3 for the Giants to move up to 25.
They're
I
taking
think
Jackson
they'll take Dart.
That's Dart.
They're taking Jackson
I
Dart.
think they'll take Dart. I think Dart is going to be like Will Levis.
Yes.
Now, I also think there's a chance Dart ends up being the man. You know, Dart, and I don't want to say he reminds me of Mahomes because his play style doesn't remind me of Mahomes. But with Mahomes, a lot of people kind of overlooked him because they're like, well, everybody throws for a gazillion yards at Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And with Dart, I think everybody looked at him and they're like, well, everybody throws for a gazillion yards with Lane Kiffin. But I think Dart might be, it would not surprise me, and I think Cam's the best quarterback in this class, but it would not surprise me if Dart ends up being the best quarterback in this class.
They're hoping.
It also wouldn't surprise me if he was a total bust.
It would surprise me if he's the best quarterback in this draft, because what I seen from him in college didn't say that he was the best quarterback that would have potentially been in 2025 draft. Now, again, it's not me. The Giants felt it, or it seems like the Giants are feeling it, that they're going to draft him. If they
Well,
do,
you know what the Giants are feeling?
pressure.
No.
What?
They were feeling Cam Ward, and they offered that huge package, and the Titans said no.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh.
here's the thing about the Giants, though.
One of these days, the Titans will take a player that I want. I will get up on this chair and just scream
You didn't
at
want
the
Derrick
top of my
Henry?
lungs. Not really.
Oh, okay.
I will just scream at the top of my lungs when they take the player I want, and that player will be a bust.
You don't want AJ?
I think we were on the air together when they
Yeah.
took AJ.
I thought it was a
and we
good
were
pick.
thinking they were going to take a guard.
Uh-huh.
And I remember the Texans had just taken Lonnie Johnson Jr., the DB out of Kentucky before. And I was like, well, let's hope AJ beat him in college and he'll beat him in the pros.
And he did.
And then Dan Orlovsky, of all people, told me, he was like, oh, man, this guy, he's the truth. What do you think, Newt? You think we should take a break right now, or do you think we should wait until the Giants take the quarterback?
I already know who the Giants are taking, but I won't tell you.
Don't be tipping the picks.
I
All
won't.
right, screw it. Go ahead and
Tell me,
tip it,
tell
and then we'll go to break. Who's the pick?
The New York Giants are taking Jackson Dart.
Oh, man. We saw it on television. He was giving dap to his family.
That is huge.
It's a reach, and it's not going to work out.
7 o'clock tomorrow, Robbie and Rex Road. I cannot wait. TV Sanders. Oh. All right, we'll take a quick timeout. We'll be back on the draft show from Twin Peaks, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Live at Twin Peaks in Madison, the Falcons are on the clock. They've traded back into 26. I got to assume this is an edge rusher here. Jackson Dart to the Giants. TV Sanders still on the board.
Yeah,
The
Atlanta's going to
TV
need a defensive
prospect.
player.
Yeah, Baltimore's going edge rusher, so Atlanta's going to go edge rusher here. Goodell at the podium says Falcons select.
James Pierce.
Oh,
he's a beast,
James
man.
Pierce. Okay.
He's good.
A lot of people thought he wasn't going to make it into the first round. He goes off the board. So now what are we? 27. So 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. So we are
34.
8 picks away from the Titans being back on the clock at 35. So
yeah,
here's who's available. And Trevor, you tell me what you think as far as the Titans are concerned. Let me cross off James Pierce. Trevor, you just give me thumbs up, thumbs down when I mention this guy in the Titans, if they're available. Mike Green, edge rusher Marshall, thumbs down. Really? Why?
Because he's kind of short. He's got short arms, and he gets a lot of sacks because he takes chances. He'll try to go inside when he's got contained. He'll do things like that. Plus, he can get punched easily off of his path. He got a lot of sacks at Marshall, but I don't think his game translates to the NFL very well.
Okay, Jahad Campbell, Alabama.
I think he's the linebacker.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's great.
So he's a thumbs up from you?
Yeah, he's a thumbs up.
Okay.
He'll make him better, that defense better in every way.
Nick Amanawari, South Carolina.
Love him. He would be, if he's there with several other guys that are graded about the same because of the position and because of the traits. He's tall, he's fast. I would take that guy.
Malachi Starks from Georgia.
Malachi Starks to me is a bit lesser Eman Ward. In other words, he's not quite as big. He has trouble with his eyes in coverage where he won't look at the right spot. He'll look where he wants to look, and he'll get beat because of it. Now, you can coach that out of him, but at the same time, it worries me that he did that as much as he did at Georgia.
Holy crap, the Falcons traded their first rounder next year to move up to get James Pierce.
Okay,
Wow.
that's a mistake.
They must think very high.
Very high.
Either that or they're getting fired.
Yeah, one of the two. Gosh.
This guy.
And it's like, if we don't win now, we're out.
It's we'll just stick it to the next guy.
So they gave up their first round next year. What did they give up for this year?
I don't think they gave up anything this year.
Okay.
Okay, Trevor, Will Johnson has a knee injury, the corner out of Michigan. So we'll pass on him for a second. Josh Simmons, the tackle at Ohio State, he's got a patella tendon injury.
Go ahead.
Well, Donovan Ezeraku, Boston College, if he's there, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up on him. Once again, he's only about 6'2", 6'2 and a half, about 250 pounds. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's got really long arms. He's got arms of a guy that's 6'7", 6'8". He's 34-inch arms, and he uses those arms really well, really skillfully to defeat pass blockers.
Okay, Josh Connerly Jr., the tackle out of Oregon.
He actually is very productive. He gave up like 1 or 2 pressures this year. I have to look up and see the exact amount. But Big Ten pass rushers weren't able to get past him and disrupt his quarterback. Now, part of that was because Oregon threw the ball very quickly, a lot of short passes. But I think he'd be a good guy to develop into a starter. In the meantime, I think he'd be a solid swing tackle.
Okay, so here are the trade details from what the Falcons gave up. Holy freaking smokes, what they gave up. The Falcons get a first this year and a third this year in exchange for a second this year, a first next year, and a 7th next year. I bet you the Rams couldn't believe it when they called. They're like, yo, are you sure? Like, are you sure you want to make this? Like,
oh, wow.
Did we hear this correctly?
Yeah, they thought they were being punked.
Like, you're serious about this? Yeah, I'm serious.
They must think very highly of James Pierce.
Absolutely.
So you were thumbs down on Connerly for the Titans?
For the Titans, the tackle out of Oregon?
Yeah.
I think with that second pick, if he's clearly the better the best player available, they need a swing tackle
Mhm.
because they've elevated both right and left tackle dramatically. But if either one of them gets hurt, they drop back down into the heinous zone at that tackle until the starter gets healthy again.
Okay, Luther Burden III. How do you feel about him?
Love him. If he's available, I take him and don't even think about it. He's got good size. He's about 6 feet, about 205, 210 pounds. So he's a solid guy, but he's really fast and he's tremendous after the catch. So he's one of those guys that can create yards for the young quarterback all by himself without the quarterback having to do anything but hit him on a short pass.
Okay, and Maxwell Hairston, the corner out of Kentucky.
He ran the fastest 40 time at the combine, 4.28. And you saw that in his coverage. Sometimes he'd get beat, but he was able to make up with makeup speed, closing speed on that. And so I think he's a guy that I also would feel good about taking because he makes the team faster and more athletic. And it's a trait, that speed, that you can't coach. But he's also a good cover guy. It's not just that he's fast.
Okay, so by that count, the thumbs up you gave me, Jihad Campbell, Nick Manawari, Donovan Ezeraku, Luther Burden, Maxwell Hairston. And then on the injury fronts, if Johnson's there, how worried are you about the knee, or would you take him?
I'd worry about the knee because the Titans have been burned dramatically in the draft with Caleb Farley with his back. It never got well. And then with Snead, and people say, well, it's the knee or it's the quad or whatever it is. The point is he's a guy that came in injured or he got injured. And I think that staying healthy has got to be a priority.
Okay, so if of those guys that we said that you gave the thumbs up to, Campbell, Amanawari, Ezeraku, Burden, or Hairston, who would be your top choice?
All else being similar in terms of their grade, I would take Burden. I'm a little worried that he hasn't been taken yet because some scouting services have him as the second receiver in the draft, and he hasn't gone yet. So I wonder if there's something about him that we don't know. But assuming that there is not something about him that we don't know, he's the kind of guy that will help Cam Ward not only make plays, but develop confidence. And it'll give defenses more problems in terms of how they need to cover the width of the field and the depth of the field. And that helps Cam Ward. And I think right now they've got to build this team around Cam Ward, and they've got to give him everything he needs in order to have confidence and to have success early. Now, I know that in the press conference yesterday, the Titans brass said that it's not just about Cam Ward. They're building a whole team here. But the fact remains that if they put Cam Ward out there and don't give him enough weapons, then Cam Ward is going to learn a lot of bad habits that he'll have to unlearn down the road. They're better off erring on the side of giving Ward weapons.
Malachi Starks goes off the board 27 to Baltimore. I saw a report from Ian Rappaport that apparently Howie Roseman had been working the phones trying to make a trade in Philly. My guess is for Starks. Again, Georgia, safety. And my guess would be that that's probably why the Rams were able to get such a good package from the Falcons, because the Eagles were probably trying to offer up a package to give the Rams to move ahead of the Ravens to take the Georgia. Again, I'm just making crap up over here, but I mean, it sounds good. It makes sense.
Yeah, me kind of convinced.
Now, here's where I worry about Ezeraku, the pass rusher, with the Detroit Lions on the clock. We also have not seen come off the board yet. Let's see.
They got to go heavy defense. I mean, heavy defense in this draft. The pick is in for the Lions.
Let's hope it's Mike Green, because Trevor doesn't like Mike Green. And then I think Washington probably goes offensive line. Or their running back's gone. So I don't know who Washington.
What about the corner from Kentucky?
I think Washington
Hairston.
might look for an alignment.
Oh, yeah, that is your squad, Trevor.
Well, the thing of it is they've got Jaden Daniels, and they want to make sure he gets protected. Remember when they drafted RG3, in the first round, RG3 had a magnificent rookie year, and then he got hurt, and he was never the same. So I think they're probably institutionalized. Again, it's different owners, different group of people out there. But institutionally, I think that they've got enough memory of that they'd want to err on the side of protecting Daniels.
So I do wonder, though, because they traded for Laramie Tunsil, and they've got Andrew Wiley, the tackle from – would that be a situation where Washington takes the Simmons kid and gives him time to heal, and then ultimately he's the long-term option at left tackle for Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, that could be it. That would be a smart thing, I think, because he seems to be falling farther than his draft grade would have been had he not been hurt, because he would have been one of the probably top 3 tackles drafted had he not gotten injured. And so offensive linemen don't tend to be affected by that kind of injury. It's a knee injury, but they don't tend to be as affected nearly as much as a running back or a receiver or a defensive back, someone that relies on explosive speed and change of direction. So assuming that, whoever drafts him figures that he's going to be healthy and healed up all the way, the fact that he drops down is going to be a real boon to them, much like Jeffrey Simmons was a real boon to Tennessee. He fell because of an injury to, I think, his knee, right?
Yeah.
And now that isn't a factor in his game, but they got a guy that was rated a lot higher than he was actually drafted.
I think these receivers are going to end up falling. I think Burden may just fall outside the first round, which would be good for the Tennessee Titans, because to me, they will have their, who I believe they should draft. But then again, there are other receivers in the draft as well that I believe, still will be available for the Titans. So
I think Buffalo's taking Ezeraku if he gets there. I don't think Ezeraku gets to 32 or 30.
Buffalo needs a receiver too.
Yeah, they do.
They need one.
But they drafted Keon Coleman last year.
Yeah, they still need another. And
they
I like
just gave
Keon Coleman.
Khalil Shakir a bunch of money.
Yeah, but as much as that team is on Josh Allen's shoulder, they need to surround him with more talent on the outside.
The thing is, when you've got a quarterback like that, why wouldn't you? That's why it just stunned me when Green Bay drafted Jordan Love in the first round when they had Aaron Rodgers there. So Aaron Rodgers, who is a lock Hall of Famer, a league MVP, still playing at a very high level, a Super Bowl champion, still playing at a very high level. Why in the world wouldn't you take a receiver, an offensive lineman, somebody that would maximize Rodgers' last few productive years there with you, rather than say, yeah, we're just going to figure out we're going to replace him now. You don't get a future Hall of Famer at quarterback by snapping your fingers. Now, when you got him, you got to take advantage of it, right? And so I think it's a similar situation.
Well,
you know what I was just thinking about?
What's that?
I was thinking about, do you remember last year when Trevor said that Traylon Burks was dogging it at OTAs and the firestorm that set off?
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that. Again, I was just thinking about like the amount of stupid stuff that we talked about over the last year.
But that wasn't stupid stuff, was it?
That was the stupidest freaking
he can't
2
stay on the
week.
field.
That was the freaking stupidest 2 week townspeople wanting to fight Trevor I've ever seen.
But was I wrong?
Well, I mean, I think he's playing hard. I just think that he's hurt all the time and sucks.
He can't stay on the field.
Yeah, he's
defensive tackle, Ohio State.
Tyleek Williams. Who the hell's that, Trevor?
He's an interior defensive lineman for Ohio State, and he's a beast.
I know, they're all good, Trevor.
But defensive line is one of the interior defensive line is one of the deepest positions in this draft.
I gotta tell you,
running back is deep. Go ahead.
I never watch the Sunday pregame shows because I'm always doing the pregame show with you guys here. So like I don't, Fox, CBS, I don't watch any of that. And I don't feel like I miss anything. Like I don't sit there and say, oh man, I didn't see Matt Ryan's take this week. But I am a little bummed out that I have not gotten to hear I bet the pants pissing that Mel Kiper and Louis Riddick have been doing on TV today about Shedeur Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
I bet they have been going nuts over this.
Mel, on his list of folks, has Shedeur Sanders listed ahead of Cam Ward, not just as a quarterback, but he has Shedeur Sanders listed as number one, I believe. I mean, of all positions. I got to go back and look at it. But certainly he has him one spot ahead of Cam Ward.
Good job, Derek.
Yes, I waste some water, but good thing there's no plugs right here.
That was a very expensive $11 Amazon thing right there.
It didn't break.
$11 whole dollars.
It didn't. It didn't get wet.
Oh man.
It
Yeah,
didn't
it's
get
fine.
wet. Nothing got wet.
The good news about that is I don't buy expensive stuff, so you don't have to worry about it.
Go.
No, I don't. I am like Mr. Amazon over here.
nothing
All
wrong
my
with that.
clothes now.
What?
I'm wearing pants from Nordstrom because Lindsay bought these for me. But like, if I'm buying clothes,
Don't tell me you buy
skinny
your
jeans.
clothes from Amazon.
Dude,
That's one of the two places. You want to guess the other place I buy my clothes from?
Costco.
You don't even try them on.
Ding, 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 ding.
D-Max, you don't even try them. They stretch so they can
And
fit.
occasionally,
No.
I'll go to a third
Dude, you are
place.
crazy,
Listen, there's
man.
nothing wrong. I'm not.
Oh,
laughing. I'm
occasionally
not,
I'll buy
saying
my
you gotta
clothes from a
try
third
them on,
place.
though.
What's that?
Yes.
Wendy's.
Okay.
Guess you buy from
Target. They
Guess?
not Target.
No.
Baby
Okay.
It's a little too high class.
Costco.
Sam.
Think-
Um,
You're very in the family.
Walmart.
Think one step. Ding, 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 ding.
who? Walmart.
Walmart.
But it's
Listen,
okay,
I'm not
though.
laughing.
It's okay though.
I'm not laughing. I'm just laughing like
I just
don't know
love
why
the
I'm
cheap
laughing.
stuff.
But I'm-
The 32 Heat brand.
The what?
here's the thing, Jared. What you got to understand, and I
These
was
Puma kicks right
I was-
here.
I
These are
was-
from
those are
Costco.
nice.
I was taught this.
Thank you.
I mean,
I
some
didn't
things
play
I get-
in the NFL.
No,
Derek.
it's not that. It's something like some things I go cheap on. Believe me, some things I go cheap on.
Like
I
what?
don't care. T-shirts, I go cheap on T-shirt. I buy half of my T-shirts from Target or somewhere.
Absolutely.
Where's that T-shirt from?
This one I get from the clothing website. Their clothing.
Oh, that's a
website. Good
T-shirt. I
Life.
thought that was paint.
Oh my god.
If I looked like you, I'd do the same thing.
Is it tight? I don't think
Yeah.
it's tight. No, it's not. No, you just said it is because
Trevor with the ultimate mic drop right there. Just the ultimate call.
I'm trying to
out.
see,
Oh
like,
my God.
okay,
No, that ain't too tight, man.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Go,
It's
raise
not
your hand.
tight.
Raise your hand.
No, see,
Yeah, it ain't tight. It's
it's
good
not
though.
tight at all. It's loose, actually. But no, I know some things like some things it's like a value pick. It's like a value purchase. I'm about that because it costs as much.
Like Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, like Tyler Lockett. Go get them because you know what you're gonna get. But certain things you have to spend on, man. You just have to. Because if not, you're gonna keep on repeating, buying it over and over.
So
and
I
over
did
and over
learn
and
that
over
with the
again.
computers.
Yeah.
I was buying cheap computers,
And they would
then I
break.
would get mad and I would get mad when like the quality of like the computer wasn't
Uh-huh.
very good. And then I bought like a Mac, and it was like, okay, got it.
Two things that I don't: shoes and jeans. I can't like buy it cheap
Yeah,
because
I agree.
they fit a certain way.
And so
You
your
just know.
jeans have to fit like your T-shirt.
No, definitely not.
No.
No, my T-shirt's not.
No.
Get the
But
skinny
no, when
jeans?
you
Wear a type
when
of this
you
a
wear,
wrap.
when you wear like if you wash jeans, if they're not, if the jeans are not made well,
Right.
you wear them enough and you throw them in the wash enough, eventually they're gonna start to wear and
Like
tear.
that.
And like I had a pair of jeans that, and they were a good pair of jeans, but I had them for like 8-9 years, and they were ripped, but I loved them. But when I put them on, they just kind of dropped because because
you chose to.
because over and over the washing and all this other stuff over and over, it just wore the pants out. I had them for
Right,
7
right.
years, but it just wore the pants out. You get cheap jeans, that happens very quick. With good jeans, it takes years for that to happen. With cheap jeans, after about 5-6 washes, yeah, man, they'll be sagging in the booty.
I wouldn't know.
Your front pant pocket all sagging.
I
But that's
wouldn't
just
know.
me.
Oh
That's
my
just me.
God.
I have to get my clothes custom made
See,
by
you-
the sailboat company down at the
Wow.
dock.
He said a sailboat.
What would you like, a jib or a shirt? Well,
In all seriousness,
my
though, like
God.
Trevor, can you go and like buy stuff at like a Target? Like, 'cause
oh
you're-
heavens no!
what are you like 6'6"?
Target's like baby gap to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, how tall are you?
I'm 6'5",
Dang.
and I've lost 40 pounds since the end of the season, but I have another 80 to go. So
Oh, you look good.
I
man.
hope one day I can shop at Target.
Ain't nothing wrong with Target.
I don't know if
I
you
get
can-
T-shirts from Target.
Can you fit in Target at 6'5", or do you have to
No,
go
you-
somewhere
I don't
nicer?
know.
You gotta go somewhere else.
I'm not
You gotta
6'5".
go to Men's Warehouse.
They got all my stuff in
If
there.
you were 6'5", you would have been like Calvin Johnson times 2.
Oh, I'd have had over
Oh,
a million yards, man. No.
No,
Washington at 29. Here comes Goodell. Okay, Trevor was right. Josh Connerly, they go offensive line, the tackle out of Oregon. So he is now off the board. I asked my buddy who's the OC at Oregon. I was like, hey, what do you? I asked him about Abdul Carter, because they played Abdul Carter great in the Big Ten championship game, and I was like, was it scheme that you guys shut him down, or was it? He said, no, it's just that. He said, no, we got totally lucky. All of our coaches and all of our players suck. No, we have a first-round left tackle, a third-round right tackle, or a second-round right tackle, and we've got good coaches, and I was like, okay. I got it. Buffalo's on the clock. They need an edge rusher to replace Von Miller. They need a receiver, which feels almost perpetual here. What do we think? Luther Burden to the Bills here, or Donovan Ezeraku, or Mike Green, or let's see, who else is out there?
Well, the
I say
Chiefs.
receiver.
The Chiefs need a receiver.
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs are going offensive line, but all the good offensive linemen are off the board. I mean, at this point, you got to go Simmons, who's hurt.
But a team like the Chiefs can reach on a pick. Why? Because they got the quarterback already.
Absolutely.
Ariante Ursary is still on the board. He's a tackle out of Minnesota. I couldn't tell you the first thing about him.
A lot of people liked him. He's a big guy who's really hostile, and heavy hands. He's the kind of guy that you think of as a prototypical right tackle.
If you're Cleveland, do you use your first of your 2 second-round picks? I wonder if Cleveland's going to go quarterback at their second-round pick.
If they're looking for Tyler Shuck, he'll be there. And Shador might be there as well.
Yep.
Because they have the first pick in the second round. Then it's the Texans. They're not getting a quarterback.
Nope.
Then it's Tennessee. They're not getting a quarterback. And then after Tennessee, it's Cleveland again.
Yeah,
so they're going to have their choice of quarterbacks, at either one of those picks.
God, Cleveland has so much firepower.
Unless somebody
I would have
trades up.
I would have traded Travis Hunter for all that firepower. If I'm Jacksonville, though, I mean, I'm telling Trevor, all right, baby, it's on you now. I got you, Brian Thomas. I got you, Travis Hunter. Go play quarterback now.
Now, what if Trevor Lawrence doesn't get better?
No, man.
Third
That's
coach.
a good point. Yep.
Big contract. Heisman Trophy winner.
When they signed him to that massive contract, and it was tied with Joe Burrow at the time for the highest paid, I talked to one of the owners over there in Jacksonville, and I walked away from that conversation thinking to myself, I don't think he's Joe Burrow, but they think he's Joe Burrow.
Yeah. The thing is, though, coming out of college, his first year really as a starter at Clemson, he was unbelievable. He made some amazing throws, but he also made some average throws that amazing receivers made look better than they were. Throws that would have been incomplete or even intercepted, that guys like T. Higgins and Justin Ross just jumped up in the air and beasted the ball away from defensive backs. And so Trevor Lawrence gets credit for a 60-yard completion. But really, it should have been a 90-yard touchdown, because of the way it shook out. And the receiver had to go, fight the defensive back for the ball. And so you've got both sides on Trevor Lawrence. He's got the great stuff, but he's also got stuff that makes you shake your head. And so right now, he hasn't translated to the NFL the way they hoped. And that's good for the Titans because in the same division, they play him twice a year.
And I think with Trevor, I think he struggles in the big games. I mean, you're going to win those games as you're supposed to win. But when he gets in the big games, he tends to struggle. And wasn't the year that the Tennessee Titans lost to him? I mean, he played terrible that game.
Oh, yeah, that game that Josh Dobbs threw that interception at the very end.
Exactly. I mean, he played terrible, but the defense bailed him out. So, I mean, I just think that he hasn't, from day one, he hasn't improved. So, I just think it's not saying he's a bust. He's just not a good quarterback to me.
And the Colts don't have a quarterback, Anthony Richardson.
And they got Daniel
Texans
Jones now.
do. Oh, well, okay. Let's hope they hang their hat there. And then you've got legit C.J. Stroud with the Texans. And so right now the Titans are looking, if Cam Ward pans out, the Titans are looking to be competitive at the quarterback position a couple years down the road once Ward has a chance to develop with the best quarterback team in the division, and that's Houston.
Well, the pick is in for Buffalo. Let's hope it's not Luther Burden III.
I want to see his reaction.
But then he has to get past Kansas City as well.
Yeah, I can see Kansas City salivating for that guy.
Who do we think's going to Buffalo? Yeah, especially if what's his name, like if Luther Burden has off the field issues, which some people are saying that he might, then he'd be a perfect fit for Kansas City.
Yeah.
Because I mean, nobody has off the field issues like Kansas City does, and they do not care.
Managed to keep it all together at least for a little
They
bit.
do not care. Let me see if I can find where J.C. Latham is. Oh, this is the actual draft. Darn.
Man, come on.
Tommy and the Bills. Make a wish.
Who do we think's going here at 30?
Man, they need to upgrade their defense.
So that would be either Donovan Ezeraku, the pass rusher, Mike Green, the edge rusher.
What about Jahad Campbell?
So he may be injured.
Okay.
From what the talk is. But Buffalo does care about middle linebackers. Like, they pay middle linebackers. And Milano is old, so they got a guy up there reading out the pick.
Mm-hmm.
Who?
Maxwell
Harrison, the corner out of
yeah.
Kentucky. Trevor gave him a thumbs up. Well, he's off the board. So Kansas City's on the clock. And so I believe that means we are officially 5 picks away from the Titans. Kansas City, Philadelphia, Cleveland, Houston, Titans. So, Trevor, your 5 best options for the Titans. Mike Green is on the board. Jahad Campbell is on the board. Nick Amanawari is on the board. Donovan Ezeraku's on the board. Luther Burden is on the board. Mason Taylor, the tight end out of LSU, is on the board. And Carson Schwessinger, the linebacker from UCLA, is on the board. And that's taking Will Johnson and Josh Simmons with their injuries off the board. How do you feel about the remaining players and what we're looking at with the Titans?
I like Luther Burden most of those that are available under those circumstances. Nicky Manwari, safety out of South Carolina, once again is big, he's fast, he's long. They'll need somebody like him to cover Tyler Warren, who was just drafted by the Colts, for goodness sake, big, tall tight end. I think Donovan Ezeraku of Boston College, it would also be a good pick there if he's still available. And Mason Taylor, I think he's more of a late second round to third round guy. I wouldn't necessarily take him there. And after that, it's really a fit thing. I mean, Nick Scorton out of Texas A&M is an edge rusher, and he had a phenomenal year 2 years ago at Purdue. Then this last year at Texas A&M, he kind of fell off a little bit and wasn't quite as good. So that's the order that I would take it in.
So
I would say Burden, Imanwari, and Ezeraku.
Okay, and then after that, you're probably trading the pick. Are you trading the pick if any of those 3 guys are there at 35?
No.
Burden, Amanawari, or Ezeraku?
No, I think with that pick, you still should be in a position where you could take an impact guy. And this draft is a little weird because there's only about 12 guys or so with a first-round grade. And now you're talking about early in the second round. But at the same time, those are all 3 guys that can help this team right away in positions of need.
It's a trade. I think it's a trade.
No, I'm saying their picks in. Philadelphia's picks in.
So they've traded with. So the
traded
Eagles
with
have
KC.
jumped up 1 spot.
Yeah, over the Chiefs.
So did they call the Chiefs and say, "Hey, are you going to take our guy?" And the Chiefs said, "Yeah."
Yeah, and nothing you can do about it.
Exactly.
The only way I see that happening is if Kansas City wants like a certain player on the Eagles team that the Eagles don't really want, and it's like, okay, yeah, we'll make that trade.
Here's the thing, though. Philadelphia, would they take Luther Burden? I mean, they don't need a guy like Luther Burden.
No, I can't see Philly
Oh, I think they're taking Amanawari.
But if
because they let C.J. Gardner-Johnson go, so I think they're taking Amanawari, and Kansas City is going to take Simmons.
Well, they could take Simmons. He'd be playing left tackle for them. That would be a good pick by them. They need offensive line, Kansas City does, and they need receivers. Their receiving core was awful by the end of last season, including tight end, by the way.
If that's the case, Trev, then that means that either Burden or Ezaraku will be available at 35. One of the
Possibly.
two will be there. No, because if Amanawari goes off the board here to Philly and then Kansas City goes, oh, yeah, I guess technically Cleveland and Houston could take Burden and Ezaraku.
Right, but then you've got Eman Wari that's still there, who would be another guy that would be an impact guy. He's the safety out of South Carolina.
The Chiefs picked up pick number 164.
Oh.
It just makes me wonder.
Kansas City's going to end up drafting an outlier.
I think they're going to go get Burden. I think
KC wouldn't be drafting an
I think
offensive
KC
lineman. Not KC.
No.
The Eagles wouldn't be
Uh-huh.
drafting an offensive line. I don't think they'd be taking a receiver, but they might.
I think they're going in Manawari because C.J. Gardner-Johnson left in free agency, and they've got the corners in Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, and so you go in Manawari here to pair him with Blankenship, who's kind of a smaller safety.
But why would they make that trade when the Chiefs have got to help? Who's the quarterback?
Mahomes.
Yeah, that guy, Patrick Mahomes. They've got to help him with protection and with weapons. So it makes me wonder why they made the trade.
Don't know. They must have felt that their guy was going to be there no matter what, whichever guy they were going to pick.
So Floyd used to tell me, that they had a thing called bonus picks when a team would, like, say you're picking 17th, and so you've got the board played out of like, okay, here's the guys that are going to be available, and then somebody that you've got way lower on the board goes off the board, and like 4, you're like, oh, bonus pick, and if I can get a bonus pick here, like if one of these teams takes Ariante Ursary, or one of these teams takes Khalid Johnson, or one of these teams takes Shador Sanders, like if that happens, that's a bonus pick that then moves those other guys down to the Titans.
I think Cleveland is probably going to take Shador with either the first or the 4th pick in the second round. The first pick in the second round, of course, the Titans are behind them, but Cleveland does 1 pick behind the Titans in the second round. And if Cleveland takes Shador with that first pick in the second round, great for the Titans. If they wait to take Shador until after the Titans pick, that means Cleveland, with the first pick in the round, is going to take somebody that the Titans probably wanted.
Who gets your pick for stupidest pick of the night? Are we still at Shamar Stewart at 17 to the Bengals?
Yeah,
as the dumbest pick of the night.
Yeah. Pretty much.
And then
so.
Tyler Booker to Dallas at 12.
Yes.
Well, I don't think that's a stupid pick. But you're right about Shamar. He's the edge guy out of Texas A&M. And remember, 3 years ago, he's a pass rusher now. 3 years ago, he had 1.5 sacks. 2 years ago, he had 1.5 sacks. This is Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M. Last year, Stewart had 1.5 sacks. So he's got traits. He doesn't have production.
And that's where we're at now, having traits over production. And that's not a good place to be. Nope.
Yeah, if you can get both, now
that's great.
you got a possibility.
Absolutely. But
and by the way, I'm sorry.
No, it's hard enough to make it when you have both of them, let alone just having one.
Traits ain't gonna
But see, Cam Ward has both.
Yes.
He's got traits, he's got production, but he doesn't have polish.
Anthony Richardson is another guy that has traits, but not the other stuff.
Somebody tweeted out Terry Fontenot, the Falcons general manager, just traded away his successor's first round pick.
Oh, that's wow. Wow.
You know what? That might be the stupidest pick of the night. The James Pierce pick,
Yeah.
and not because it's James Pierce, but because of what they gave up to
get it.
draft
Yeah.
James Pierce.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Again,
Like,
they
that
thought he was
is-
worth it, but man, oh man, he better get at least 12 sacks this year. 10 to 12 sacks, double digits.
Shamar Stewart, 1.5 sacks per year at A&M.
You know what those?
Well, I mean, 4 sacks would be an improvement this year. Two sacks would be an improvement.
2
yeah.
sacks.
2 sacks would be an
If
improvement.
he can match Tavondre Sweat's output as a rookie on the edge, he's on the edge.
There you go.
No,
that's
we're not
totally
having
different.
that.
That's
You got to
totally
be. It's got to
different.
be
Here we
more
go.
than that.
Absolutely.
Goodell at the podium. Probably a Manowari, right? Goodell says it is. Oh, Jahad Campbell.
The linebacker out of Alabama.
So he's off the board. So that means now you're one pick. So there's one pick left, Kansas City. And, God, they're going to pick Burden, aren't they?
I don't think they are.
I think they are.
I think Worthy serves the purpose for Burden. They believe they have the other guy back from last year from injury. The receiver that got
Rasheed
hurt.
Rice.
Yeah, Rasheed Rice will be back because Rasheed Rice was developing to their number one option, but he ended up getting hurt. So they feel he's back. Got Worthy. I would be surprised if they took a wide receiver. I would be.
Okay, so if that's the case, if they do not take, if they don't take one of the three, Burden, Amanda Warrior, Ezeraku, then that means that the Titans are going to have the opportunity to take one of Trevor's guys. And then Trevor, I'm guessing you would then say if all three guys, Burden, Amanda Warrior, and Ezeraku, are all there, it sounds like you'd have to be wowed to move off the 35th pick.
Yeah, if Burden's there, I want Burden.
Absolutely.
And the other two I'd be fine with. Keep this in mind, though, not for today, really not for tomorrow. Let's, probably for the third day, maybe third round. Dante Thornton Jr., wide receiver out of Tennessee.
He can go.
Is a big guy. He ran the second fastest 40 time to Matthew Golden. He was 1/100th of a second slower than Matthew Golden, the fastest receiver at the combine. He's tall. He can take the top off a defense, and he might fall to the third or fourth round because Tennessee didn't ask him to do a lot more besides run slants and run vertical.
Justin Hunter. Justin Hunter.
Wow, that's a
Justin
name
Hunter.
right there.
And you know what? I said do not draft Justin Hunter when they drafted him in the second round. Why? Because I just thought he was just a straight line guy. He didn't run it. He didn't run the route tree. Why am I drafting a guy in the second round that doesn't run the route tree? He just ran one route. That was it. And it proved to be right.
Run routes.
He proved to be right. He never learned how to compete the way he needed to compete and to run the route tree. He had all the speed in the world, 6'4", 6'5", just couldn't put it together.
And that's another thing we talk about. We always talk about speed, but we don't teach guys how to run the route tree. And I think it's so important that if you just get a guy with speed, they put a safety over top. What else can he do?
Yeah, but you put a safety over the top, you're taking the safety away from the middle.
But in the fourth round, Trevor, if he's there like in the fifth round, I'll take a flyer on him.
All you got to do is put him out wide and run him deep, and
I'll
that'll
take a
force the
flyer,
safety
but that's
to
like
stay
the fifth
deep.
round.
And that opens things up for everybody else. Yeah, I would too.
But then I go cover three and just sit back and just have a good cushion on him.
There you go.
If he couldn't run routes, I'm sitting
And then Tyler Lockett will run around underneath.
That's a good point.
Well, the pick is in from the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm starting to think that this Terry Fontenot in Atlanta might be the stupidest general manager in the NFL, having replaced Rand Carthon of that title.
Oh.
They must have saw something in James Pierce, or they were spooked that somebody else was getting ready to take him, so they moved up to get him.
Dude, I don't care. Trade a future first rounder?
Yeah, you don't do that. You usually do that with like higher draft picks.
Right, you trade a future first rounder when you want to move from when you want to move from 24 to 9. You trade a future first.
Yeah, and James Pierce might be a fantastic rusher. 2 years ago, he was at Tennessee. Last year, he fell off a bit, but the book on James Pierce is that he needs more strength with his hands because strong tackles can punch him and get him off his line. They can grab him. They can control him with their hands. And Pierce needs to be stronger with his hands. And that's part of the problem. I mean, if you can't deal with a punch and if you can't deal with hands that reach out and control you, you're not going to succeed in the NFL. Now, he can get stronger. I think he will. He's got a really quick first couple of steps, which is really good. You can't coach that. But will he be able to put the rest of it together? And do you really want to give up an extra first-round draft choice to see if he can do that?
Apparently, the ESPN broadcast showed Shedeur Sanders' house, and the TVs were on NFL Network with Ian Rappaport talking, so ESPN cut away.
Oh, wow. Wow.
That will be the talk
Yes, it
of
is.
the draft.
Oh, Stephen
That
A
will
is
be
going to
the
go
talk.
nuts tomorrow. Oh, my
goodness,
God.
it's going to be the talk.
Stephen A is going to stroke out.
Why? What did Stephen A? think
Oh,
about
Stephen
that?
A thinks it's like, he and Louis Riddick think that it's like a crime if you say that Shador shouldn't be going in the top 3.
Wow.
He's going to go nuts on the Giants for taking Dart and not Shador.
Yeah.
He's going to go nuts. He's going to go nuts on the Steelers for taking Derek Harmon. He's going to be like, I don't even know who that is. Because there's no way he knows
They
who Derek
needed a
Harmon is.
quarterback.
All right, here's Goodell, the final pick, Kansas City at 32.
Yes,
Josh
Burton is
Simmons.
still there.
I tell you they're going to take the tackle.
Burton is still
Okay,
there.
so this means with Josh Simmons going off the board at 32 to Kansas City, Trevor, the Tennessee Titans, will be on the clock tomorrow with either Luther Burden, Nick Amanawari, or Donovan Ezeraku on the board.
And they have the 3rd pick in the 2nd round.
Correct.
You know what? I can see the Titans potentially, if they're looking at this board and they're trying to play it right, I can see the Titans moving down to try to get an extra pick. Moving down, not too many spots.
But would you risk losing
trying
Burden,
to
though?
maybe they look at maybe there's another guy they feel that can be productive in their offense too.
Here's what I would consider. The Bears, I believe, have the 39th pick and like the 40-something pick. I would consider trading back from 35 to 39 if I get the Bears tight end Cole Kmet. Because they drafted Colston Loveland out of Michigan in the 1st round with the 10th pick. If I can get Cole Kmet to play tight end and drop down to 39, I think I'd be interested in that.
That actually would be, they would get a proven playmaker at tight end.
Now, that being said, Trevor, let's say that Tyler Shuck or Shador Sanders goes at 34, or should be at 33 to the Browns. Let me start over again. Let's say one of the quarterbacks goes at 33 to the Browns. Let's say somebody else goes at 34 to the Texans. Burden, Amanawari, Ezeraku, which one are you taking of that group?
I'm taking Burden
100%.
because he, a lot of scouting combines or scouting organizations had him as the 2nd-ranked receiver. I would want to know why he fell out of the 1st round. Maybe there's an injury thing. Maybe there's something in his personal life that I don't know about. But as long as the Titans are satisfied that neither of those things is an issue, then I take him and I don't look back because he's got the ability to make plays that aren't there. He can take a short pass, turn it into a long run because he's terrific after the catch. And you guys are talking about punt returner. This guy can play on special teams as well. There's a lot of things he can do, but especially since the offensive line has been settled down with free agency, he's the kind of a guy that can help the confidence and success of Cam Ward early. He's the kind of guy you want.
Okay, now, what would you have if Burden is there, Amanawari's there, Ezeraku's there? What would you have to be offered in order to move off that pick?
Well, first of all, I'd need a pretty high 2nd-round pick. It couldn't be somebody that's too low. Because what I don't want to do is move off of what I consider to be quality with the 35th pick to some questionable people. Because this is not a particularly deep draft except at running back and an interior defensive lineman. And if I'm fine taking a running back, great. But is that going to really help Cam Ward this year more than a receiver would? So it would have to be a lot of picks so that I could get something that would be worthwhile, that would stick. In other words, someone that would stick on the roster and contribute. And really, the farther you go down in the 2nd round, the less likely you're going to find that guy. Although you mentioned Mason Taylor, tight end out of LSU. I think he'll go probably in the 3rd round. And maybe they'd look to target a guy like that if they trade out of that 35th pick.
If you can get a 3rd-round pick somehow, some way by maneuvering yourself, moving down in the 2nd,
right,
possibly using a package with Will Levis to get into the third round, then not only can you potentially, take the next best receiver outside of Burton, if Burton is not drafted, then you can theoretically you can get you a tight end in that third round, or you can get you a defensive player that's going to come in and be a contributor. May not be a day one starter, but can be a contributor for your team. So if that's the case, then yeah, I would move down.
I just wouldn't risk losing Burton. I mean, I
get that.
That's the risk that you take, because if you look at this receiver room, I mean, you got Ridley, you got Burks, you got Jefferson, you got Oliver.
You don't have
Price.
much.
You don't have much. So now you add Burton in there. Now you just had a offensive receiver room went from okay to being pretty doggone good right now, because you got Tyler Lockett in there, you got Ridley. We can count out Burks, but you have some solidified pass catchers that can make some plays.
Do we think Burton has the potential to be a star, or do we think Burton has potential to be a good NFL player?
Star.
I think he has the potential to be a star. Now, that other stuff, whatever is causing him to fall, you have to be concerned about.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe he has the potential and the ability to be, one of the top receivers, because he's multiple. He can do several different things, and he's a returner. To me, that's a plus.
What do we think about Nick Emanowari, the safety out of South Carolina? Trevor says he's a big playmaking safety. We know the Titans have Amani Hooker, but Amani Hooker gets hurt all the time, and quite frankly, he's not that good. So if you had a big playmaking safety, would you consider it at that 35th pick there?
I'm considering, but I don't know if I'm actually going to hand the card in with his name on it. You still need to surround your quarterbacks with players, with guys that can make plays out there for them. And, hey, listen, if you draft a safety, it may work out for the defense, but I would rather add more guys around my quarterback than to add another guy. And albeit he may turn out to be pretty good, to add a guy on defense. I'd rather add that guy on offense.
And then when it comes to Ezeraku, again, the NCAA's leading sacker last year, if he's there, do we feel like, hey, if Burton's not there but Ezeraku's there, do we feel like, hey, you got to take him to give you some punch off the edge?
I think that he's the kind of guy that he doesn't just fill a need. Remember, it's all about quarterbacks, right? So you want to upgrade your own quarterback position, and you want to degrade the other guy's quarterback position. And he's a guy that could step in rush packages on second and long, third and long right away. I just start rushing the passer while he's learning how to be a defensive end or outside linebacker in the NFL. And he was incredibly productive at Boston College, even though people try to double team him all the time. Not just had a lot of sacks, but also was one of the leading tackle for loss guys in college football last year. So, he's a highly productive player with good traits at a premium position.
Can we talk for a second about how stupid the Atlanta Falcons are today? The Falcons, Bengals, Cowboys, Titans. Who takes the crown for stupidest of the night?
Definitely not the Titans, man.
Did you see the package they turned down?
Yeah, definitely not the Titans. Listen, if
He
they
better be
believe
Mahomes.
if they believe he's the guy, then don't move off of him, because I can get to my goal quicker with a quarterback than I can with any other player.
But that's if you think he's going to be better than like Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah,
like he's got to be an elite quarterback, which you keep telling me he doesn't have to be.
I think he has to be a franchise quarterback. That's all.
Elite.
Franchise, all elite quarterbacks. All franchise quarterbacks ain't elite.
I know.
All elite quarterbacks.
So he needs to be an elite quarterback. I'm wanting you to push your expectation up.
He needs to be He needs to be a franchise quarterback. To me, a franchise quarterback is, again, a guy that's going to win you games. A guy that's going to be the reason why you win and not lose. He may not have the it that Patrick Mahomes has, because there's only 3 or 4 elite quarterbacks in the National Football League that has proven it over and over again. Jaden Daniels is not elite. He has to prove it more than 1 or 2 seasons.
So you think it's Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and Jackson?
That's it. There's only 4 of them.
No Stafford?
Those guys
no
are
Stafford. No Stafford. I like Stafford. He's won a Super Bowl, but I don't consider him. Stafford has never. Does he have an elite arm? Absolutely. But he's not an elite quarterback. So there's only 4 of them in the league right now.
Okay. One final thought from everybody for the night. Your thought on the Titans heading into round 2 tomorrow. Chris Sanders, lead us off.
You know, I think they're sitting in a great position. The reason why I say they're sitting in a great position because there's a receiver available. You have a situation to where the Titans receiver room is really lacking right now. So you have your guy. He's sitting right there. And you say this all the time, I don't want them to do something crazy to actually lose that guy. Just sit there, wait. He drops to you. Let's take him. Don't trade down the 5 and 6 picks and hoping he's there. Take your guy, get a playmaker, and he's an impact player, and I think he is.
What if Burden goes off the board?
Oh man, that's tough. I mean, you just got to trade back and hope one of your guys fall that you want to get. So I just hope he's not taken, because if he's not taken, you just got a kid that's going to impact your franchise. You got a playmaker, a guy that can come in and play right away that's going to help your quarterback. So I just hope that he's there.
Trevor Mattis, your thoughts on the Titans heading into round 2 tomorrow night?
I think they're in great shape. Great shape.
Yep.
Because Cleveland could take one of those 3 guys that we're talking about. The Texans could take another one. I think they might take Luther Burden.
Oh,
to continue to maximize their quarterback, C.J. Stroud. But there are 3 guys that I think would be impact players for the Titans based on what they need and what these guys can do. Luther Burden would be my number 1 choice. If he's not there, then you've got 2 defensive impact players, both of them with production and traits that you can't coach. One's a tall safety that runs a 4.3 something 40. The guy's super fast. And the other one is an edge rusher who was one of the most effective and productive edge rushers in all of college football last year. They'll have their choice of one of those 3 guys, maybe 2 of those 3 guys. Any of those 3 would be a significant upgrade at a critical position for this team.
Jared Mason?
The Titans have officially restarted their organization. That's what they've done. By drafting a quarterback first overall, anybody that does that, you are basically pushing a restart button on your whole organization. And from that point on, from today on, whatever they do, it needs to be to help their quarterback be the best quarterback he can possibly be. Look at what Cincinnati did. The minute they drafted Joe Burrow, they reset their organization and they went out and got him help immediately by drafting Higgins. And then they drafted Chase. They went out and got him playmakers. The Titans have they restarted their franchise today. They need to make sure they go out and surround their quarterback on offense with as many playmakers as they possibly can. This may be the year where they pass on defense to make sure they beef up their offense, whether it's more offensive linemen, whether it's another receiver, another tight end. They need more players on offense to help this young quarterback.
So you are not interested in Ezraku or Manawari. You would trade out if you sat there.
I just believe when you draft the quarterback number 1 overall, you're resetting everything. So now we're starting from the ground. Now we need to do everything we possibly can to help this quarterback succeed. And how do you do that? Make sure your offensive line is right. Make sure he has enough pass catchers. Make sure he has guys in the backfield that can help him. Do whatever you need to do to make sure he is right before you get everything else right. That's what Cincinnati did. And now they're paying for it a little bit because the defense is behind. They're gonna play catch up, but at least they know for the next 3 to 4 years, they got Higgins, they got Burrow, and they got Chase. And they're going to score 30-some points.
Let me give you one more name quickly. Running back Travion Henderson out of Ohio State. He's a big back. He averaged 7 yards per carry last year, and he's probably the best pass receiving running back in college football last year. Now, Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears are a really terrific 1-2 punch, but Coach said that he wants another running back. And don't be surprised if they see Henderson as being clearly more highly ranked than any of the other guys, especially if Burden's off the board, that they go with the highest ranked player in a position that people don't expect them to draft.
Guys?
Yes.
Another enjoyable
Absolutely.
round 1 night.
Absolutely.
Amongst the 3 of us. Special thanks to our sponsors, Twin Peaks. out here for having us. We thank them so much. Hardee's, Shane Company, Harmon Tractor and Equipment, Professional Home Improvements, and of course, Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Derek will be back with you tomorrow.
Hey, don't forget to thank the Dallas Cowboys for allowing you to
Yes. Derek will be on tomorrow at 11 o'clock. I'll be on at 7 o'clock tomorrow to rub it in Joe Rexroad's face that Shador Sanders didn't go in the first round. So I'll be on at 7, of course, 2 o'clock, and we'll have our draft coverage from Boom Boss Craft Pizza and Tap House tomorrow, starting at 6 o'clock. That's it for us. We'll see you all. Enjoy the night, and let's hope and pray that we remember this is the day that Jared Stillman was wrong. That's it for us. Connor Newt, shout out back in the studio, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.